notice of this meeting was provided and published in the Asbury Park Press on January 6, 2014. Copies of the agenda were provided to the newspaper, posted on public bulletin boards and the Township website.
Thank you. At this time, everyone, please turn off your cell phones and roll call, please.
Councilman Moore.
Here.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Here.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Here.
Councilman Mumolo.
Here.
Councilwoman Pontorero.
Here.
Vice President Fosman.
Here.
President Leidecker.
Here. At this time, can everyone please stand for the salute to the flag and a moment of silence? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, everyone, please take your seat. Okay, we need to approve the reports of the municipal officers, please.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. And we need a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the October 7th meeting.
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Councilwoman Zapsik, seconded by Councilman Moore, and roll call, please.
Councilman Moore.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Mumolo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontorero.
I abstain.
Vice President Fosman.
Yes.
President Leidecker.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. At this time, we have a very special presentation, and before I begin, I do want to thank our council secretary, Jen Hartman, for helping me put the program together and reaching out to the schools. This is the first time that the council will recognize Student of the Month. We spend a lot of time in many meetings recognizing all kinds of organizations, charitable, local, state, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, athletics, but this is the first time we've actually recognized academic achievements. And it's about time we recognized our scholars. These young adults have dedicated a lot of their time to their studies and to their future, and they've really earned the honorary title of being Student of the Month. Our community should look at these students as an asset, a returning asset when they come back from college and raise their family in this town, and we should encourage them to keep moving forward in their education and their future, and to inspire them to become leaders in their local communities. At this time, I'd like everyone to join me in welcoming our Student of the Month. We do have two with us tonight, Twasina Amin and Abigail Christopher. If you could please join me up at the podium. Are you here this evening?
You missed one. Susan.
Do we have all of them here? I know we had a few come.
She's right there.
Okay, well, everyone can come up together. It's okay.
No, she didn't call her name. Sorry about that. We have 8 Student of the Months, but only 2 of them could be here with us this evening. And I'd like to welcome Kimberly first, Tatiana, and Abigail Christopher. If you could take that. And we just want to say thank you so much for all your hard work. We hope you keep it up. And we do have a really great program in town that Councilwoman Pontorero has begun, and it's youth mentoring. And we would be so pleased if you would want to be, if you would like us to be your mentors and you wanted to be an intern here in Town Hall. And I'm sure that everybody and your parents would like to get a great picture of you and your certificates and the mayor, of course. Oh, I guess we'll do it separately. So again, thank you for joining us. And who knows, maybe we'll see you next month for another Student of the Month award.
So at this time, I do want to turn the floor to the mayor. He does have a very special presentation himself.
Okay, we have a surprise presentation here tonight. It's not on the agenda, but it's something that we didn't want to miss, but we also wanted it to be a surprise. And just want to let you know, the Township of Brick is fortunate to have many outstanding and dedicated staff members who provide assistance and guidance to the public. The New Jersey Association for Floodplain Management annually recognizes outstanding individuals and contributions at the local level. The NJAFM, this New Jersey Association of Floodplain Management, has presented their 2014 Outstanding Local Floodplain Management Official Award to Brick Township Municipal Engineer Alyssa Cummins. The award honors an individual who has made great strides to implement and enforce flood hazard reduction, improving the safety and resiliency of our community. The association cited Alyssa as the recipient for her efforts both during and now 2 years after Hurricane Sandy, and for her sound floodplain management skills. Alyssa has served with distinction as Township Engineer and Floodplain Manager during one of the most challenging periods in municipal history. I personally went around with Alyssa a day or two after the storm, and we went to individual homeowners' houses, and we're taking a look. They were afraid about whether or not they should walk back in, if the foundation was okay, if the house was going to collapse. And Alyssa's out there crawling underneath the house, and it's muddy as anything. And I was standing there wearing this, probably looking at her, I was holding the flashlight, saying, I don't know, what can you see? For all those reasons, I want Alyssa to please come up. I, John G. Ducey, the mayor of the Township of Brick in the County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, in honor of Alyssa receiving the NJAFM 2014 Outstanding Local Floodplain Management Official Award, do hereby proclaim tomorrow, Wednesday, October 22nd, to be Alyssa Cummins Day in the Township of Brick.
Great job, Alyssa.
Okay. So we have quite a few people in the public tonight, I assume, are here for public comments. So I'd like to get through the agenda somewhat quickly if possible and not keep everyone here too long. So onto the consent agenda. All matters listed under item consent agenda will be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. If discussion is desired on any item, this item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. 4.1, recognize the PAL award recipients. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the PAL program that we have here in town. They offer all kinds of different programs for our community, as well as different camps. And that's what this program is designed to do, to give increased opportunities for athletic competition, educational enrichment, and development of life skills. This year they are honoring Brick Township Police Officer Mark Stork, our very own Glenn Campbell of DPW, Camerari's Bakery, IHOP of Brick, Michael Leola, and Dan McKevitt of the PAL Executive Director. They're having a really great banquet in honor of them. It's on Friday, November 7th at Woodlake Country Club. And if you'd like some more information about attending, you can contact our council office and you can contact the PAL office as well. Congratulations to the recipients. Resolution 2, authorize Chapter 159, 2014 Post-Sandy Planning Assistant Grant. This is to insert $470,000 into our budget. And if you recall, at one of our previous council meetings, we passed a resolution to go out for the grant for these planning services to help us get through the storm and the recovery. Resolution 3, authorize Chapter 159, State Body Armor Replacement Fund Grant Program 2014. There is $11,550.03 available through the state program. They were kind enough to give it to us to help protect our police officers. Resolution 4, authorize Chapter 159, 2014 Farmers Market Promotion Program. This is something really great. It's been through Sustainable Brick, and Michael Fowler, who's our township planner, has done a lot of work on this. The overall goal of this program is to establish a little more quality of life. The grant will help us educate the residents of what is going on at the farmers market and to help make it a sustainable program well beyond the grant. I think the mayor would like to speak to this as well, right?
Yes, thank you very much. When I first became mayor, we wanted to look at something on the Food Town site, so I thought that would be a good spot for the farmers market. I thought it would be, but it's not. But I still wanted to go forward with the farmers market. As we all know, we're kind of like the fast food capital of New Jersey, and maybe even the whole country. We have pretty much every style of fast food, so it's nice to have some other type of option, healthy food, fruits, local honey, all those types of things, which will be at a farmer's market. It would be over, it's going to be all over on Herbertsville Road. And we applied for the grant, and actually, the first time we heard back, we heard we were denied for the grant. And then three or 4 days later, we got another email saying no. And I was very disappointed, as was Michael Fowler and the whole New Jersey Sustainable Group and Council President Lydecker. Then all of a sudden, out of the blue, they wrote us back and they said we were approved, which was a great day. But it was one of those things where we're like, oh, we're so disappointed, and then a couple of days later, we're happy again. So I'm excited to see it kick off next summer, so we can all have some healthy food next summer. Thank you.
It'll be really great for our community. Thank you. Resolution 5, authorize application 2013 recycling tonnage grant. This grant can be made to the municipalities in order to encourage local source separation and recycling programs, telling us what we can recycle, which is helpful for me because I recycle tons of things that I did not know were recyclable. And also to Mr. Fosman for getting that pamphlet put together. That was a tremendous asset to our community. This grant does say 2013. They are retroactive because they have to figure out what the tonnage is, send it to the state for approval, and then they get back to us with the numbers of how much we get back for this tonnage grant. Resolution 6, authorize receipt of bids for Bay Harbor Beach Erosion Control Project. There's a severe issue going on in this section of town, and we happen to own the beach. So we do have to put a little money into our public safety to make sure that this is a safe place for people to be. It's going to include dredging up the sand to create more of the beach, as well as putting in a bulkhead and something called an interior skull, which I'm not really sure what that is, but I'm sure I can ask Alyssa or look at the RFP and figure what that out is. So to the people in that neighborhood, we're going to fix that area and make sure it's nice and safe for you. Resolution 7, authorize receipt of bids for boiler replacement here at the municipal complex. The boilers that we have now, there's 2 of them. They're about 14 years old. They keep breaking down. It's very difficult and expensive to find parts for them. And honestly, we need a new, more efficient system that'll regulate the temperature properly in the building and not keep breaking down, especially in the winter months. If you recall, after Superstorm Sandy passed through, this place did house many people, from soldiers to residents to volunteers, our police officers, our EMT. So we need to make sure in the event of another crisis, we do have a boiler system that's up and running to provide heat for us. Resolution 8, authorize receipt of bids for professional services. There's a long list. I think the reason why the list is so long is because we want to make sure it goes from January to January. Mayor, I'm correct in saying that these appointments will now be from January to January to get us all on schedule, right?
These will be, there's some from June of this year that still have to be fixed next year, but
Okay.
almost everything's fixed.
So we're almost on track. Right, thank you. Resolution 9, authorize award of contract for the Stafford Township Cooperative for Pope gasoline. If you recall, at the last council meeting, we had 2 bids which were submitted by the same company, so those bids were not able to be used. You've heard many times at council meetings that we are part of this Stafford Co-op. They were the lead agency to go out to bid for this, and they chose a company called Riggins in Vineland, New Jersey. There are fixed market prices, 0.095 cents for regular, 0.095 cents for mid-grade, and 0.11 cents for super. The bids are not to exceed $100,000 per year. It is a 2-year contract. There were 3 bidders, but this one was by far the lowest, so it's a pretty good deal for us to take. Resolution 10, authorize award of bid, public safety uniforms. This is going to Red the Uniform Tailor. It's a 2-year contract. Again, there were 2 bids received on this. 9 were mailed out. Only 5 people picked it up. 2 were received. The second company that placed the bid unfortunately did not carry many of the items that our EMTs and police officers and so forth need for their uniforms, so it really didn't make sense to go with that company. Resolution 11, authorize change order number 1, Traders Cove Marina Floating Docks B.C.&D project. Thankfully, this contract has been decreased by $14,657.94, and that contract is with R. Kramer and Son Marine Contractor. Number 12, again, authorize change order number 5, final, for the Traders Cove Marina Phase 2 Improvement Project. Again, another decrease in the project price, this time by $97,199.06. Number 13, authorize execution of shared services agreement with the Joint Board of Fire Commissioners. And I'd like to give this to the mayor because I know that he worked very diligently on getting this contract together.
Thank you. Our state aid, they keep on, legal municipalities and state officials have said maybe our state aid is going to be tied at some point to shared service agreements and whether or not we have them, the amount of state aid that we receive. So we don't have a lot of them memorialized here in town. We do have shared services. They're more like understandings with MUA and with the school board and also with the Joint Fire Board. One of the obligations we have as a town is we have to provide fire inspections and other duties. So rather than us as a township employ somebody to do those duties, we're going to have a shared service agreement with the Board of Fire Commissioners, and we're going to all the fees that are generated from our inspections are going to be split up. 75% is going to go to the Joint Board of Fire Commissioners and 25% to the town. So not only we don't have to hire somebody, we're actually going to be sharing in the 25% revenue. So it's a good thing for the town. Thank you.
Thank you. Resolution 14, authorize tax liens for property cleanup. We all know what this is. Sometimes there is a property in town that needs their bushes trimmed or their grass cut or just general maintenance. This is at 182 Riverside Drive, and the amount is $51 that will be liened to their property. Resolution 15, authorize special events permit for Veterans Day lacrosse tournament. This actually sounds like a lot of fun. This is going to be on November 9th between the hours of 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. at the Drum Point Sports Complex, and it's just a day of lacrosse to raise money. Number 16, authorize special events permit, River Rock Block Run. All these running events, I wish they had like a fast walking event.
Or a slow walking
Not a
event.
runner. And this is a 2-mile charity block run, and it's going to be on Saturday, November 1st, between the hours of 9:30 a.m. and 1 p.m., starting and ending at the River Rock. So I'm sure you can contact them if you are interested in signing up for that. Resolution number 17, bond release reductions. We have 2 of them. A is for Kevin T. McDonald in the amount of $14,292.64. He posted this cash performance bond to guarantee certain site improvements on Scoop Road, and it has been determined that he did make those improvements, so we will return his money. The second one, B, is the Manzo Organization of Brick. They posted an insurance bond in the amount of $407,247.64, as well as a cash performance bond for $45,249.74 for site improvements over on Manaloking Road. These bonds will be reduced and not returned in full at this time. Resolution 18, tax collector. And there's only one today, and this is for overpayments of the year 2013 for 575 on Burnt Cameron Road in the amount of $972.50. We did have a last-minute addition. We did have, in the last 5 days, 2 resignations that were given to me on our housing authority, so we needed to fill these spots. The first one will be filled by Richard Dyer, and the second one will be filled by Stanley Schick. That is the end of our consent agenda. Can I have a motion and a second, please?
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Councilwoman Ponderero, seconded by Councilwoman DeYoung. And at this time, I am going to open to the public for questions on the consent agenda only. Any questions from the public on any of the resolutions? Yes, Mr. Scott.
what the engineer's projected cost is for that?
It is approximately $350,000, but hopefully when the bids come back, we'll see a lower number.
350. Okay.
Again, that's just an estimate.
Right, yeah, so the projected cost. On number 9, with the Stafford Township cooperative, I did look into that, and the 9.5 cents really became a bargain because the other bids were like 18.5. My question is, and I briefly asked the business administrator, it's going to be a 2-year contract. Is it with a 1-year renewal, or is it a straight 2 years?
It's a straight 2-year contract.
Because they have to guarantee the purchase of X amount of gallons?
I would assume that is the reason, yes.
Okay. With what the mayor just said before, as far as getting credit from the state for shared services, do we have a shared service agreement with Board of Education going back and forth that has been memorialized?
No, we're working on one. That's one of the main things. We've been meeting with Dr. Uzinski and Mr. Edwards and myself, Ms. Bergen, and I think Mr. Brazaris. Yeah.
And I was surprised that, like last year, we only used $100,000 in gas. I thought it was going to be a lot higher number, so I'm sure theirs is probably 4 times what we use. So it would be great to have a shared service with them.
Yeah, I mean, we do have a shared service with them. It's just not memorialized
Okay.
anywhere. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, we use their tanks across the street.
Right, and then we just
For our
share
police
the money.
vehicles. And then there's all sorts of, there's a number of things. There's plowing that we do, there's salting that we do, there's paving that we do, there's field maintenance that we do. There's a number of things, but nothing's written down. I've actually, at the last department head meeting, I asked all the department heads, please let me know what we do for the school in your department and what the school does for us, so we can sort through this and come out to a resolution.
Okay, good enough. Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you. Any other members of the public want to be heard on the consent agenda? Council, questions, comments? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to ask for a roll call, please.
Councilman Moore.
On 4/13, I'm going to abstain due to I'm a firefighter in town, and yes, the rest.
Thank you. Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Mumalo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontarero.
Yes.
Vice President Fosman.
Yes.
President Leidecker.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, number 20, bill resolutions, computer 2014.
Be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Brick that the following bills be paid and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to draw orders on the treasurer for the amounts of the same. Computer bill resolution in the amount of $2,940,230.03.
Thank you. Motion and second.
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Councilwoman Pontarera, seconded by Councilwoman DeYoung. And I'm going to open to council first for questions on the bill resolutions. Councilman at the end.
No questions
All
this
right.
week. Went through them all.
And open to the
That
public.
meeting worked.
Does anybody have any questions about the bill resolution this evening?
Mr. Scott.
Okay, well, seeing none, I will close public and ask for roll call.
Councilman Moore.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Abstain on New Jersey press media, and yes to the rest.
Councilman Mumalo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontarero.
Yes.
Vice President Fosman.
Abstain on the MUA and yes to the rest.
President Leidecker.
Yes.
Thank you.
Number 21 on the agenda, bill resolution, manual 2014.
Be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Brick that the following bills be paid and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to draw orders on the treasurer for the amounts of the same. Manual bill resolution in the amount of $1,416,758.61.
Thank you. Motion and second.
Motion.
Second.
It's like you guys practiced this before you get here.
Jeez.
Motion made by Councilwoman DeYoung, seconded by Councilwoman Zapsik, and open to council for comments. And open to the public for comments on the resolutions. Seeing none, I will close public and ask for a roll call, please.
Councilman Moore.
Abstain on township payroll, yes, the rest.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Mumalo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontarero.
Yes.
Vice President Fosman.
Yes.
President Leidecker.
Yes. Okay. Number 5 on our agenda are ordinances on the second reading. We do have public comment on these, so we will give a brief explanation and then we'll open to the public for questions and comments. Number 1 is amend Chapter 245 Land Use.
An ordinance of the Township of Brick, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing the Township Code of the Township of Brick so as to amend Chapter 245 entitled Land Use.
Thank you. Brief explanation. I know a lot of people that are rebuilding their homes had a lot of feedback, not that they necessarily wanted to make changes. The problem is that when we first passed the new height ordinance, we went strictly by the state guidelines, and we realized that there was a small issue with that, and we had a lot of people coming in through the Board of Adjustment. So we really needed to spell out for everyone what the peak was to the mean, to the eve. There's 2 separate ways you can choose that number. The NAVD is one of them. And that's what this did. It just really solidified how high you can build, what your starting point is now that you have to start at instead of 0 base level, you're up to, some people are up to 13 feet to begin building their homes. So we just really needed to shore up that issue and not have these people spend even more money, thousands of dollars coming into the planning board and the Board of Adjustment to rebuild their home on the same footprint that their house already was in. So I'm going to ask for a motion and second, please.
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Councilwoman Pontorero, seconded by Councilwoman DeYoung, and I'm going to open to the public. Does anybody want to be heard on the new height restriction ordinance? Okay, seeing none, I will close public and ask for roll call.
Councilman Moore.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Mumalo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontorero.
Yes.
Vice President Fosman.
Yes.
President Leidecker.
Yes. I do want to thank the Land Use Committee members, Councilman Mumlo and Councilman Fosman, as well as Mike Feller and Alyssa Cummins, who we just had a nice presentation for, and our Land Use Department, including Dan Newman and Mr. Starkey, helping us get this together and making sure our residents had a more expedient way to rebuild their homes. Ordinance number 2, amend Chapter 345, secondhand dealers.
An ordinance of the Township of Brick, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 345 of the Township Code of the Township of Brick entitled Secondhand Dealers.
Thank you. And this did come out of public safety, so I'm going to ask the chair of that committee to please give the explanation.
Yes, and I will try to keep it relatively brief because I've been warned not to go on and on. Our Public Safety Committee, with the assistance, invaluable assistance of Chief Berquist, have really worked on this ordinance. As we all are aware, right now we have an insidious drug problem in our municipality. What happens is that drug dealers will often break into homes, steal the merchandise, and then put it to sale at a pawn shop or a secondhand dealer. What this ordinance does is it tightens up the reins in a couple different ways. Number 1, it requires an electronic system to keep track of what items are being sold, and the name, address, and contact information combined with a photograph of that merchandise that's being taken in. And the dealers are required to hold it for 5 years. We're also increasing the amount of time that a secondhand dealer must hold on to that merchandise from a present 7 days to 10 days. I can tell you that to issue a subpoena for that information, you have to give 10 days notice. So I'm not sure where the 7 days came in, but 10 days will at least allow you to issue a subpoena, because as most people know who have had the unfortunate circumstance of being the victim of theft or robbery, you're on a very short time frame to get your items back and to identify them. The penalties for noncompliance have been raised, and basically the onus has been put on the dealers to be candid with us, to give us the addresses of the people who are buyers so that we can store them in the electronic system. I understand we're one of the first to be included in the electronic system, and I know this is going to be statewide in the near future. I don't know how Barnegat voted about it last night. It also prevents people who have a criminal past or criminal history from running a secondhand shop. That's a big red flag in my book if somebody has committed crimes that they perhaps should not be taking in what could be potentially stolen merchandise. So that was another one of the changes. It gives the chief of police some discretion, which he needs, to obtain the information from the secondhand dealer, require that it be produced to him, and he will have the authority to make a decision if there was something that was done by the secondhand dealer that was not done in concordance with the terms of our ordinance, to suspend the activity of that secondhand dealer with notice, and they'll have an opportunity to appeal. So I like that it gives more power to the person ultimately who we need to help us retrieve the personality or to hone in on those less savory secondhand dealers. Another change in this requirement, in this ordinance, is that the people who take in the information must hold it, must keep it, and must, if they want an exemption to it, get the permission of, again, the chief of police. So I don't know if anyone's familiar with the municipal code book. It's rather large. But if anyone is interested in looking at what our previous ordinance looked like as compared to our new ordinance, I'm happy to share that with you. And I've gone through, with the help of my intern, Zachary, and made some notes on the differences between the two. I am very happy with this tightening of the reins for secondhand dealers. I think it's going to put a big dent in the ability for these drug dealers and drug users to get their hands on quick cash, give the police more ability to catch these guys and to return the items to their owners. My sister was burglarized about a year and a half ago. I did identify the place where the items were sold, but within 4 days they were gone. So that 10 days, it doesn't seem like much to go from 7 to 10, but it can make the difference of getting your items back, or at least knowing where exactly they went and maybe catching the perpetrator. So I thank the chief for all his hard work. I thank our township attorney who worked very diligently on it, and all the members of our Public Health and Safety Committee, including Andrea Zapsig and Bob Moore. It's been invaluable, and I think this is a ordinance that needed to be revamped a good time ago. Back in 2011, October of 2011, Governor Christie gave us the right to make more restrictions as municipalities to this type of secondhand dealer, and so we're fully within our rights to do this. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer, or have the chief answer, who probably has more information than I ever will on these issues.
And they'll have the chance in just a moment. Motion and second, please.
I make a motion.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Moore, seconded by Councilman Bumalo, and open to the public. Does anybody have any comments about our hopefully new ordinance on secondhand dealers? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to close public and roll call, please.
Councilman Moore.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Mumalo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontarero.
Absolutely, yes.
Vice President Fosman.
Yes.
President Leidecker.
Yes, and thank you, Public Safety and Chief, for all your hard work on this ordinance. Number 3, the last ordinance on second reading, amend Chapter 421, taxi cabs and limousines.
An ordinance of the Township of Brick, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing Chapter 421 in the Township Code of the Township of Brick entitled Taxi Cabs and Limousines.
Thank you. Motion and second.
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Councilwoman Pontarero, seconded made by Councilman Cosner. And again, this is something that came out of our Public Safety Committee, and I would like you to address it, please.
Absolutely. So they gave me 2 chances tonight to speak, so again, I'll try to keep it brief. Again, this was an ordinance that was really worked on by the Public Safety Committee, along with our chief, who was instrumental. What we've done is listen to the concerns of our officers and of our chief of what we can do to make Brick better by being safer. I'm sure we're all concerned about who we're getting into a taxi cab with. This ordinance and the changes that have been made to this ordinance require stricter guidelines for the owners of the taxi cab companies to provide all of the information to us that we would need to know. Their last few addresses, all the information that we would need to understand whether they would be a good candidate. We also are entitled to know if they've been convicted of any crime, including aggravated assault, arson, burglary, escape, extortion, homicide, kidnapping, robbery, aggravated sexual assault, endangering the welfare of a child pursuant to NJSA 2C 24-4, whether or not armed and having in his possession any weapon enumerated in section of NJSA 2C 39-1. All of these things, we would not necessarily want to hop in a car with someone with this type of history. So we looked at this ordinance, again, with the assistance, undying assistance of our township attorney, and tried to make things more tight in terms of giving our township more power over these companies. And it also speaks to transient companies and companies who move around. So we do have, again, more restrictions upon those. They're required to give us notice. They're required to tell us the information. Again, I have the code book with me if anyone would like to see what our previous code looked like and our model code looks like now. We also increased the penalties on not adhering to this ordinance. For example, on a third offense of an operation of a taxi cab without a valid license, that was changed to $2,000 rather than $1,000. We gave discretion on removing the driver's license from people who are more than one-time offenders, raising and putting the onus on the owners of the taxi cab companies. They're the ones who would be paying the big dollars. So if they want to run their company in concordance with our law, they will not be hurt. But if they want to run their company the way that they want to run their company without adhering to our ordinances, they're going to face some severe consequences, what we need to keep our residents safe. So with that, unless there are any questions, I'm sure you're going to get your opportunity. That's what this ordinance is about.
Okay, and now open to the public. Does anyone out there have any questions or comments about our new taxi cab ordinance? Okay, seeing none, I will close public and ask for roll call.
Councilman Moore.
No, we did
I have it.
motions.
We did.
The two gentlemen at the end.
I made the
Councilman
motion.
Moore.
I second.
I got it.
He did?
Yes.
Thank you. Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Momolo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontarero.
Yes.
Vice President Bosman.
Yes.
President Leidecker.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the best part on the agenda, public comments. Please note that each person addressing the council during any section of the meeting during which public comment is permitted shall limit his or her remarks to 5 minutes pursuant to Brick Township Administrative Code Section 2-33B. We do have a time clock up there. When your time is up, the buzzer will buzz. If you are not finished, I'm going to ask you to sit down, and when everyone else has had their first turn, you are more than welcome to come up for a second bite at the apple, so to speak. So, yes, Mr. Foster, would you like to begin?
Sam Foster, 108 Chico Drive. Can you hear me okay? It's not on?
I don't think it's on.
Is there a button on it? Button on the mic, pull the mic out, maybe there's a button on it.
Sounds like it's on now. Can you hear me okay now? No?
Tell Ed, turn it up.
Speak extra loud.
Thank you, Lynette.
Thank you, Lynette.
Sounds better now. Thank you. Sam Foster, 108 Chico Drive. Two quick issues. One is, I had, last week, I think it was, there's some kind of, a neighbor of mine reported a gas leak, a possible gas leak, a smell. and the fire department came, and I don't have a problem with them. They've always had great service from them in the past. But one thing that concerned me about was that when I drove home, it was, you know, the fire department was out. It had they had one end of my street blocked off, but there was no evacuation of the surrounding area. I want to know, now Mr. Councilman Moore is a former firefighter. Under what circumstances does the fire department evacuate?
Depending on, I'll answer this. Right off the bat, it's, you know, how the steps go. If you report a gas leak, immediately dispatch, the fire department's dispatched. As we, upon arrival, we assess the scene. We have meters on the trucks. The chief has meters. Usually a police officer is the first one on location.
Yeah, the police and the fire
Then
were
it's
both
usually
there.
our- right,
Yeah.
Usually our chief is the first one on location also. Right at that time, they have meters on their vehicles to determine how great of a gas leak there is. Usually on the way to that call, the gas company is already notified. Usually headquarters already notifies the gas company. If it's a strong enough leak, the homeowners already, there's numerous calls coming in, gas company's already notified.
Yeah, I didn't want you to think I was criticizing the fire department.
No,
It's
no,
always
it's
done
okay, I'd
great.
rather answer so everybody
Yeah.
knows
Yeah.
how the calls, how it
Yeah.
progresses and what dangers there are.
I'm not trying to be
What we do
paranoid
is,
about it, yeah.
right, we do, usually the homeowners are already out of the house. If it's an outside gas leak or it's an inside gas leak, usually we evacuate the home, we
Yeah,
block
they
off the
did. There's
area.
the house, yeah.
And then immediately we start setting up a staging area, depending how bad the leak is.
Yeah, because like I said, I came home, and it was, the fire department was already going through our house, my neighborhood, they didn't find anything, so that was fine. And the other question I had was, Councilwoman Pontiero made a comment about drug use, and question I had about pawn shops. I think Councilwoman Pontiero, if she's the right, yeah, okay. I always get you two confused because you look so much alike. The John and the Pleasure, especially with your hairstyles. But I had a question about she made a comment about the pawn shops. I should have mentioned this earlier. But we have at least one pawn shop in Brick Township, and there's another one in Silverton. I know because I go there to check them out. And I was wondering, can Brick Township pass an ordinance that would limit pawn shops in the township, or do you think that's too extreme? To like, since you mentioned the issue about people selling things in pawn shops to get money for drugs.
Interestingly, we can limit the number of taxi cab companies, but we cannot limit the number of pawn shops. Of course, it's up to the land use committee where they wanted to locate themselves and if they can comply with all these
Yeah,
regulations.
because I know
So,
Lake City is like.
There's a lot of
incredible.
hoops to jump through in this
Yeah.
ordinance, so let's see.
I was just curious because used to go to Atlantic City a lot before I had my mortgage on my house. And it was like incredible. Pacific Avenue was like nonstop. Pawn shops, there must be about 5 or 10 of them just in that one section around the casinos, one street over. I was just wondering if Brick Township did have the authority or something that, if you'd even think that it would be worthwhile to, through zoning laws, limit the number of pawn shops in the area to discourage people from crime in the area and then having a quick cash turnover by going to a pawn shop.
Sam, that's something we can discuss in the future, but for right now, we need to get a leash on these pawn shops. Get a tight leash on these pawn
The ones
shops.
that just now, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
next time I have a planning board meeting, I might, if the subject comes up, I might bring it up then. All right, thank you, that's just it.
Thank you.
Just two short points.
Yes, sir. And for those of you who are new to the public comments section, we do need you to state your name and, if you're comfortable, your address. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, residents. My name is Jerry DeSico from Windcrest Court. Mayor Ducey, you inherited a mess from the previous administration on all fronts. Part of that mess is Maple Leaf Park. The entire Herbertsville section is under siege from a cancer that has been spreading over the last 5 to 10 years in and around Maple Leaf Park. No previous administration did a thing about it, and both management companies are derelict in their duties, in their responsibilities over there. It's a train wreck. At the last council meeting, an owner-occupied resident of Maple Leaf Park pleaded with the council to do something about it. I ask, what steps have been done since that time to control the crime issue and the quality of life issues, except for some foolish answer about forming a neighborhood watch? We all know that that does not work. Tonight, there are several residents here from Windcrest Court who are going to be giving you some specific information on what is happening on the perimeter of Maple Leaf Park, give you some more details. We have tried to have a meeting with the mayor and the council. It hasn't materialized over the last several months, and even as recent as last week. So we do hope that this will happen shortly. As we know, there are enemies of society from certain areas in Ocean and Monmouth County. I don't have to point them out, but we all know where they are. They come into Maple Leaf Park, and it's an open invitation to conduct their business, their illegal drug sales and other criminal activities. And the responsibility falls squarely on the management companies, the Maple Leaf Association and the Hayes Association. More importantly, they allowed these slumlords and these out-of-towners, these absentee landlords, to buy these properties at below market rate and rent them out to Section 8 housing. What's wrong with that? Well, it's a private development the last time I checked, so is there any violations under HUD that allows this to continue to go on? When these issues were brought before the last council, the last administration, there was a council president here, I forget his name, it was several years ago. He reminded me of W.C. Fields, I don't know the name. He put this off as hysteria, and he went as far as to say, I go swimming over there. Well, you know what? I can't think of a more revolting sight to see that person in a bathing suit. That's how they treated it back then. It's a serious matter. Like the homeowner that was here the last time from, and I hope he's here, I don't know if he's here from Maple Leaf, they're prisoners of their own home. This is not an indictment of the good people of Maple Leaf. Let me be very clear about that. There are friends, there are neighbors, they have kids there, they play ball with us, and they participate in different activities here in the township. They're struggling homeowners. The police do a great job when they respond to those areas for calls for service. Their task force gets drugs and guns off the street, and they make good quality arrests. They need to have a 24/7 armed security police force over there, paid for exclusively by the management companies, not the taxpayers and not the owner-occupied people. And they need to set up a substation over there, paid for by these out-of-towners, slumlords. And the police officers could do it at a voluntary basis on either an overtime rate or a off-duty rate, paid for by them. Any of these security enhancements that could help over there, like better lighting, drug dealers don't like lights. They don't like cameras either. This township should seek reimbursement from either the associations or HUD. An active investigation needs to happen immediately. In addition to these proactive security measures, a mayor's task force should be immediately executed under executive order consisting of a code enforcement official, fire code, police, and housing inspection. Go to each of those resident units and make sure that they sign a crime-free lease addendum. Every state has it. I got one right here, sample copy. So now you have accountability. Additional security measures should be considered, and these parasites, these outside slumlords, they need to be held accountable. That's the bottom line. The city council and the mayor, who I respect, they need to get a glove. You guys need to get a glove and get in the game. Other townships, Millville, New Jersey, Summit Hill, Pennsylvania, Coopersburg Borough, Pennsylvania, they took aggressive actions with similar situations that occurred in their communities. You guys have a lot of power with the ordinances that you pass. The time is time to act and stop the plague from spreading throughout the entire community. That's going to turn this community into Camden. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sorry, no clapping. Thank you. It was very well spoken, but we can't clap. Give me just a moment, please. I do want to address a few of the issues that you brought up, and you asked what we are doing as the administration and the council. We have been working on it for the last 2 weeks since the last meeting, and we'll keep working on it. The land use committee is working with the chief and the mayor to figure out what's going on with the COs and how we can make sure everyone is a proper CO. That's one way we can tackle the problem. I know that the chair of public safety had a great meeting the other day. If you'd like to discuss a little what
I would. And you're not wrong in what you're saying. You're not wrong, okay? I went and did research, and I found that this problem has been brought to the administrative's attention since 2009, okay? What I want to tell you is that although I can't disclose the details of what we are investigating at this point, our Public Health and Safety Committee is taking active measures in ways that we haven't explored before with the help of our township attorney, our Chief Berquist, on how to eliminate this problem without increasing our taxpayers' funds. We have heard you. I may not have been at the last council meeting. Unfortunately, I was on dilaudid with a problem in the hospital, but I made sure I watched that council meeting. And I made sure I reached out to Mr. Cancel, who was the one who he and his son spoke at the council meeting, so that I could hear, because I have utmost respect for people who are willing to wait for 2 hours to tell us why they need help. So rest assured, this issue is being addressed by an administration that hasn't had a shot at it yet. Give us a shot at it, and then if it doesn't work, then come back to me.
Mayor Ducey? Did you want to follow that? Okay.
I can. I mean, we're working on, I know the police are in there. They have license plates readers that are on there, on the police car, that they're going to be in there, and they're going to be running the license plates as they patrol. And, yeah, that's pretty much it. There's a lot going on. At COs, we have our building department working on it, comparing rentals and who's the owners, who's the real owners, who's renting, who's on the leases, who's not on leases, and we're going to have a code enforcement, police combined effort.
Thank you.
And potentially a new ordinance. And I do want to let you know, I drove through your community 4 separate times, and I was scared every time. And I grew up down Neck in Newark. And so not much scares me. I also went to law school in Camden. So not much scares me, okay? And I was scared driving through. So I know what you're saying.
Mr. Brando?
Hi, Dominic Brandel, 12 Commodore Drive. Just real quick on the taxi thing, it's a good start. 4 of us, then councilmen at the time, Mayor Ducey, what we went through a couple years ago, and unfortunately, we still had an owner to push back, and it ended up costing us tons of money and lawsuits and everything else. But it's a good start, and hopefully we don't have to live through that again and what happened to those poor residents there. Something that I tried when I was on the council for 4 years to get through, I can never get it through. Hopefully it's something that can be done immediately, and you guys can get this done immediately, is a sticker system for those areas. We have a whole bunch of areas like that in town, these complexes, and almost like the beach stickers that we have. And what it will do is, late at night, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, if a car's pulling in there and it doesn't have these stickers on, that's the probable cause with the ordinance is written that you have to have a sticker to be parking in there. And what you're doing is you're not having a safe haven. Drug dealers, if they know they're going to get pulled over by the police, or people going to buy drugs, if there's a chance they're going in there, pulling in, pulling out, and they're going to get stopped by the police, they're going to move on. We're pushing the problem somewhere else, but we're getting it out of our hair and somewhere else. So it's something that you should, I've spoken with Mariana about it. It's something that I tried for 4 years. Hopefully you guys can look at it and possibly get that going. It's something that can be done immediate, because you're going to get he had some real good ideas, that resident, but unfortunately, you're going to have lawsuits, and it's going to take forever to get that done for them to spend the money. But this is something that you could do in the immediate sense, and it's a problem. It's a serious problem that's now put us at number 6 with drugs in the state. So just something to look at, if you guys could sit with it and look at that.
If I could address that issue. I did raise that issue, Mr. Brando, because we did have that conversation, and I raised that issue at the Public Safety Committee. And unfortunately, it's really just a Band-Aid for what we can do. Ordinances don't take forever to pass, and there's some ordinances, drug den ordinances, animal house ordinances. There are other ways around it. So the consensus was, I did raise your issue. I wanted to let you know, I heard you. I raised it to the committee, but we're thinking even bigger than that, because these citizens need more and deserve more than that.
Okay. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Call.
Good evening, everyone. Ann Call, 18 Greenbrier Boulevard. What a fantastic thing Oktoberfest was, and I got a new boyfriend from it.
My
Of course,
son.
he's only, what, 7 years old?
7. That's all right. I'm
But
okay
I love
with that.
7-year-olds and 6-year-olds.
And I think that's against the law.
No, no.
I
As long as I
consent.
don't do anything improper.
That's right. A hug never hurt anyone.
But it was. I also commend, this is one time that I did read everything that was on there, that was online. I read about the taxi cab, and I was here when, and about the land use, the pawn shop item. It was so well written. I should have known, particularly the pawn shop, how, who had a hand in it. Very well done. And what I do want to say, there were 2 things. As I read the items for tonight's agenda, I noticed again a tax lien for cleaning up. Now, I don't know the circumstances of the people who own the property, and I know there could be 100 different or maybe more reasons why it came about. But knowing today's horrible financial state of affairs for many of the ordinary residents, and lack of jobs maybe, I was thinking that maybe we could find a way to encourage a business to set up that would do this work for a reasonable fee, such as what the township actually charges for it, and that the township could refer people to that particular business when things are getting bad, that they might want to contact them. I'm not saying that it's well thought out, I only thought of it today, but a seed that maybe you can do something that would help these people if they're suffering financial hardships, and or like me, or an old lady that can't do the work herself, and help them out so it doesn't come to a tax lien, and that they might be more than happy to know they're paying somebody who's qualified. Also, I've been very involved with the Community Associations Institute since the beginning of this century. And I know I was involved also with the Common Interest Homeowners Coalition. And I know a lot of places that are either condominium type or homeowner association without being condo or co-op frequently have a problem that the management company and or that the owners or trustees are not doing the right thing, that there are laws that they have to do. Maybe we could set up a liaison or a public advocate, which many had lobbied for back when there was legislation being proposed, where the people in these areas, 2 management companies were cited, when the people who are living there, even if they don't own their unit, find that there are misdoings, and they know the property management is not responding, and they don't feel safe to do much, maybe there could be a liaison or a contact at the police department that they could refer the matter to, and then you could take action with the owner of the property and or management company that they're not doing their part on the code enforcement type of situations, and handle it that, check out this. Is this the owner of the building? Is he properly renting in the building, what have you, and abiding by the laws of the condominium and of our town? Thank you so much for all you do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nan.
Yes, sir.
My name is Gary Chapman. I live at 103 Sandy Island Drive in Sandy Point. I'm here tonight to present a petition signed by many residents of Sandy Point. We, the undersigned, hereby petition the Mayor of Brick, the Brick Council, the Brick Health Department, to demolish the home at 101 Sandy Island Drive, Brick, New Jersey. The home has been unoccupied for 5 years and sustained significant damage during the Sandy storm. It's been occupied by rodents, raccoons, skunks, and mold is evident on the outside of the building. Investigations into the ownership has resulted in a myriad of bank loans, foreclosure procedures, and it's evident that this home will never be sold. Sandy Point's a beautiful section of Brick Township. We do not need any eyesores present. It distracts from the area and lowers our property values. The important point for me to try to make to you tonight is that it has been vacant for 5 years. And after Sandy struck, I am certain the entire one-story ranch was filled with water. I live next door, and I had $200,000 worth of damage, so I'm sure 101 is the same. The issue is now a health concern since mold is now present on the outside of the home. I have already been to the local, county, and state departments of health and have been told that since it is owned by the banks and it is sealed, there's nothing that can be done. I also wrote to you, Mr. Mayor, and the Ocean County Board of Freeholders. Neither of you replied. I know there are 500 homes in Brick that are still not livable because of Sandy, but this is different. This is 5 years, and God forbid I or my family or neighbor gets ill because of the ever-present mold. I have 4 small grandchildren, and their parents are concerned as well. As a result, they're hesitant about allowing them to visit. I am asking you to make 101 Sandy Island Drive a priority and get after the banks that are involved. My research indicates there may be as many as 4 banks involved. None of them wants to take the hit, losing money. As a result, that property will never sell and continue to generate a serious health problem. I also have one question. Several months ago, the press reported that Brick received a substantial amount of grant money to demolish homes deemed inhabitable. How many homes have been demolished since that time?
Did you want to finish your statement so you don't run down the clock and we can address your questions?
Okay, I'll
at
say
the
that.
end?
Okay, fine. Council, Mr. Mayor, please do not put this, table it, or deep six this concern. I'm not going away. My wife and I, this is our final home, and I don't want to spend my latter years with a health problem and absence of my grandchildren because nobody took the matter to hand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Would you like the petition?
That would be just fine if you can leave it with our clerk and council secretary, and we'll get that over to the administration office. But I would like Mr. Starkey to address the law on tearing down homes that are not in our possession, and if the mayor would like to address the grant issue as well.
Justin, I think it might be helpful first. The business administrator has information about this particular property, and I can address the legalities after that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you, Mr. Chapman, for your comments. When Dan Newman is our construction code official, and when we receive complaints, he is obligated to go and do complete site inspections for those properties. He has been to this property 3 times. Most recently, he has been there today. If this property meets the criteria for us to pursue an interior inspection, we will do that. And I will continue to speak to Dan about accessing the interior of the property, but I do have, photos that were taken as of today, and it is a situation that we'll continue to look into, but it hasn't risen to the occasion where he has the right to access the interior of the property. The exterior doesn't, the situation in the exterior of the property doesn't call for that at this time, but we will continue to stay on top of it and visit the property, and it's my understanding that Mr. Newman has been in touch with Mr. Chapman with that update, so we certainly have responded to the best of our ability on the status of this property.
As far as legalities, I appreciate Mr. Chapman's concerns as well. The township, as a government entity, cannot just go in and tear down homes that it deems to be in disrepair. We have our own procedures to follow. One of those procedures, I don't know if you were here at the last meeting, but the Township Council adopted a new ordinance that the state just allowed, that when a house is put into foreclosure, there are steps we can require to ensure that the bank, the lender, takes responsibility for that property. If not, we can impose penalties on the lender. That was a new law from the state and a new ordinance that was just adopted by the council. As far as what the township can do, that is in the hands of the construction official. If he deems it a danger to the public health and safety. And I know our construction official has been here for years and is very familiar with all the properties in the township. I think you should be pleased to hear that he has been out there, I think you said 4 times already, and we're monitoring this. I've also been told that this house next to you is in foreclosure. I don't know how many mortgages are on the property, but that a writ of execution was entered last month. That tells me that at least the foreclosure process is moving forward and is nearing an end. That doesn't mean an end to that particular process, but it means typically when a bank gets control of it, which should be shortly after the writ of execution, that the bank will then put it up on the market. It sounds like if you say no one will buy it, somebody will buy it, maybe a builder that will tear it down from the sounds of it. But that process is moving forward as well, which I think is some progress at least. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members from the, yes, ma'am?
Hi, I'm Jenny Tribuco from 254A Sawmill Road. I'm sorry, I just got my voice back. So, what the gentleman was speaking about with Sawmill Road, that it's the epitome of Bricktown and all the drugs. Well, there's drugs everywhere in Bricktown. It's not just Maple Leaf. I mean, I'm an upstanding citizen of Bricktown. I hold a full-time job. And our new management company, they're doing a great job. They got it from when I moved in there in 2007. It was bad. I was scared to death. But now, as 2014, I'm not scared anymore. I can go out at 2 o'clock in the morning and walk my dogs and not be afraid. Because there's no one on the streets at that time. Myron and all the other management and the board have done a great job on trying to get the place back to where it should be. As far as the drugs, the police department are in there all the time, but the management company can't control all the drugs. The community, upstanding citizens, if we see something, we need to say something. We need to call the police and say, hey, look, this is going down. You know, the police will keep it confidential, and no one will get hurt. I mean, I'm very proud to live in Maple Leaf Park. I love my home. I've been there 7 years. So I hate to see people slander. It's just, it's horrible. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, I appreciate you letting me talk. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, did you want to come up?
Good evening. My name is Scott Pennick with McGovern Legal Services. We're the attorneys for Maple Leaf Park Condominium Association. Board of Trustees asked me to come tonight really more in order to introduce the management company. A lot of disparaging remarks have been made about the association, what's going on there, and the board knows they have problems. Big problems, don't have quick fixes, but they're in the process of trying to fix them, and really appreciate the council's concern and the chief of police's participation with them in working to fix these problems. Myron Kozak is here. He is the property manager for the association. The board has asked me to come and convey that he does speak on behalf of the association and the board tonight to tell the council, tell the residents of this community what the association is doing and how they're working with the chief of police to correct a lot of these problems. The quality of life, the safety, security, all of these issues are being addressed. Without taking up any more time with the council and the residents, I'd like to ask if Myron Kozak, the manager of the community, the owner of the management company that represents the community, can come and speak and share with the council what is being done to improve Maple Leaf Park. Thank you.
Sir, would you like to come up?
Good evening. My name's Myron Kozak. I'm the property manager at Maple Leaf Park. We've been the property manager for the past 3 years. When we came into Maple Leaf Park, there was a lot of drug activity. There was a lot of things going wrong. And with our guidance and the board's approval, we got them to approve over $300,000 in security cameras that were installed throughout the property. Each one of the courts has a minimum of 4 exterior cameras that pan and zoom the entire courts. We also installed, as a safety precaution, we have apartment-style condo units, which has a common entrance door for 6 units, so it's shared with 6 other condominiums. And in there, we installed internal cameras because we were getting complaints that people were selling drugs inside, that they're smoking inside, that there are all sorts of things going on in the hallways. So with these cameras inside, we're able to monitor, have footage, and assist the police in arrests. We have, over the last 2.5 years, assisted the Brick Police in several arrests and crimes that we've committed. We are monitoring the activities of people going in and out of a common area. So if there's 15 individuals going in and out in a 5-minute period, they can't possibly be guests that are visiting. So we're relaying that information. The footage is available to the police. We've offered the police numerous times flash drives with activity going on, and the Brick Police have been very cooperative in working in this. As far as COs, we've worked with the Code Enforcement Department. Jack has been very helpful. We've given him a list of absentee owners that we were aware of that are not doing necessary repairs to their units. They're slumlords. And Jack has gone after them with our assistance in the list. You know, things just don't change overnight. So, you know, when we hear drug activity, there is drugs. But it's down to a minimum from when we took over. Some of the things that we've incorporated with some of the local churches, an after-school program, in which at 3 o'clock, they have the children come to the clubhouse, they help them with their schoolwork, they have some treats for them, some snacks to hold them over till 6 o'clock. All very positive, because the children are coming around now, are getting some respect for where they're living. And I don't think that the individuals are giving a chance. A Maple Leaf didn't turn into what it was inside of 1 year. So inside of 2.5 years, there's been a great improvement done there. And I know that a lot of the residents and unit owners that live in Maple Leaf took offense to the sharp approach that some individuals may have taken. So I just wanted the council to know that the Board of Directors is approving budgets to reinvest in the development. We've upgraded the security lights behind the buildings so they're brighter, and that, yes, people don't want to be in a spotlight, and people also don't want to be on camera if they know that it's being recorded. And we've had a meeting with the Chief of Police just recently, and there might be a possibility that they will accept access to our cameras so that they can view whenever they want to go to a live feed and direct the cameras, view, zoom in and where they may want to watch a particular building for criminal activities and have evidence and reason to go in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam
Thank
President,
you.
I have a-
Wait, I have a
Oh,
question,
go ahead.
too.
Sorry.
I wanted to say thank you for coming in. We appreciate being able to hear the resident side and the management side, and I hope that some of the residents here heard what you had to say, and there can be open dialogue between the residents and yourself as well, so they're familiar with everything that you are trying to do to help alleviate the problem. Councilman Moore?
Yes, Mr. Kozak, I do have a question. I know you're the manager, but I have written down about the live feed camera, which is a nice critical point, with our PD. Is that active with those cameras? Are they 24-hour surveillance cameras? And you have somebody monitoring them 24 hours, or are you just talking 8 to 4 and at 4 o'clock you gotta shut the door?
When we first installed it, we had people monitoring the cameras so that we'd have major impact immediately to the community. Because, you know, a lot of times people put up cameras, but they're dummy cameras. And, you know, the drug dealers or the mischief, they don't see it. But as soon as they see activity, meaning that the next day there's pictures posted in the hallways where they're sitting and smoking or drinking, they know that those cameras are live cameras and live feeds. Since then, we've now cut back on the after-hours monitoring of the cameras. I mean, we do spot check on my own, but that's just something that I do.
Maybe you should step that up.
Well,
and
if
get it addressed.
there's a complaint in any of the apartment-style condo, we can go to the footage. It stores over 10 days' worth of footage. So if the office is made aware, listen, yesterday someone was trying to get out our door, that we can do. I mean, we do have people coming in saying a car was scratched, but that's very hard to catch with a camera that's constantly moving and maybe, zoomed in on you for about 30 seconds and moves on.
I mean, I like the idea that our PD has access to those
They will
cameras.
be, not yet.
That's critical. I mean, I think that's crucial. But that's it.
Thank you. I know that we're going over the 5 minutes, but I assume that this is something that everybody would want to hear, and since we're in the middle of the dialogue, we're just going to wrap it up with the 2 comments from Mariana and from Paul, and then we'll ask you to take your seat, please.
I appreciate you coming out tonight and saying your piece. I have been contacted by upwards of 23 different residents of yours, echoing the same problems that Mr. Cancel echoed during the last meeting. Are the cameras up and running right now?
They're not. The cameras have been, when we had that major lightning storm about 2 months ago or 3 months ago, knocked out 90% of the cameras that got burned. They got hit with a lightning bolt. We had to go through the insurance company to get reimbursed. This was about $65,000 worth of damage. Currently, 80% of the cameras are up and running. They're not recording still because there's some kind of switching problems. The firmware on the new cameras that are installed are compatible with the old. It's just going back and forth, but we've been told by the vendor that by the end of next week, everything will be fully operational.
So it is true that they're not running right now? And no one's monitoring them at night?
No.
And is that something that you hope to alleviate and fix so that you can see problems as they're happening? Because it doesn't do you much good to know about the problem the day after it happens when our police can be there within moments to stop a potential crime from happening. You have a lot of children in your development, a lot of children. And I'm particularly concerned about them.
Well, I'm not sure what you're referring to.
What I'm referring to is you indicated that you have 24-hour surveillance, though right now it's down, okay? And hopefully in 2 weeks it's going to be back up. But if you don't have someone monitoring those cameras 24 hours a day, how are you going to alleviate the crime that's going on now, especially, like I said, because you have so many children there who are in the middle of this? And that's the phone calls that I've been getting. I'm sharing with you the phone calls from our residents that I've been getting. For 23 or 26 people to have called me and found me at my law office to tell me, that tells me that we have to do something. And we're going to be working on it our own way as a township. But it would make me very happy to know that you're going to take that additional step of having somebody perhaps monitor overnight what is going on, because in my experience, most crimes take place in the dark at night. That's when it mostly happens. Is that something you would consider?
It's something we can look into, see whether or not we can budget that into next year's 2015's budget. And to see how that would work to deter it, because we have to get someone that's familiar with the territory, with the complex. Because in the past, if they're looking at a camera and it's camera 15 and it's in this court, they're not familiar with the layout. It's not as if people, when they commit a crime, we're running this way. I mean, it is captured on the hard drives. So if a crime was committed, now you're saying to try to forecast when a crime is going to become committed and then dispatch the police.
Well, I'm a business owner. I have cameras at my place of business. And every morning, I watch what had happened the night before to look for crimes, and I've caught 3 so far. But unless somebody's looking at it, you're not going to know what had happened. And like I said, my concern is because you have so many children, as you talked about the program that you're doing for the children, and I applaud that. But because you have so many children, we have to be particularly sensitive to the crimes that are committed at your development. We have so many there.
To view 36 some odd cameras, which are the exterior cameras alone, and then there's probably 20 interior cameras at a lot, in a live environment, that's minute for minute. If you use the scanning feature in viewing it, then the camera's sitting here for 10 seconds, next thing, in a fast forward, it's over here. So you're missing all of this in between. So.
Oh, they have motion-sensitive cameras, and that's what I look at.
Well,
And I have 18.
Yeah, right, so motion sensitive means that they're locked in a position. When a camera moves, that is motion.
I just wanted to know if you would consider looking into it, because that would help, because like I said, the crimes tend to be committed at night. But I do applaud you for coming and saying your piece, and so that people could hear both sides. Thank you.
Councilman, did you have anything?
Just briefly, thank you for sharing your thoughts. We want to be proactive, not reactive, basically. And looking at something the day after, if something's going on at that point, that's not really going to do us good. We want to be able to nip it right in the butt as it's happening. So that's where I think where Councilwoman Pontorero was going towards monitoring the cameras. That's all.
Could your association, your volunteers that live there, a lot of people are concerned, could some of these people monitor the cameras and share it like a neighborhood watch, and then if they see something, immediately call the police? I mean, you have so many people here and your association. Could something like that be done?
I guess we'd have to check with council, but, you know, they could be given remote access to the servers also. They could watch it from
Just
their house.
trying to figure a solution, because if everybody's so concerned, then
Good idea.
money's always an
I love
issue.
that
We all
idea.
know that. The cameras went out, it's money issue. Now you're gonna have them back on. Maybe some volunteers would wanna monitor it. And you have enough people, maybe one night every 2 or 3 weeks, they would watch it 4 hours or something like that as a volunteer.
Fabulous idea, Mr. Fosby.
We could look into that.
Anything else from council? Okay, thank you. Thank you for your time. We appreciate it. Yes, Michelle.
That's why you're vice president.
Good evening, everyone. How are you doing? I'm Michelle from Evergreen Woods. I finally got my Oprah request filled by actually the Turnpike Authority. And I have here the test that shows that the basin indeed was not required. The water was absorbed into the soil 12 inches in an hour. That's pretty darn good. So it definitely was not needed. So the Turnpike Authority, for once, weren't lying about something. That being said, we were wondering if you had actually heard anything from the Turnpike Authority. Nothing. Okay. Would it behoove you to try something different? Perhaps get a mediator, an arbitrator to be impartial, maybe from a court or something like that. I don't know how it's done, to impartially review our dispute. East Brunswick negotiated a settlement with the Turnpike Authority, and they will now have a barrier by the project's end. I don't know if it's possible to even talk to somebody in East Brunswick, if they're keeping closed and quiet mouth until this whole thing's over. I don't know, but East Brunswick, they don't even have the sound levels that we do, and they're getting a wall, and they had to fight for it. What was I going to say? Yeah, and you also have the, you actually have the Turnpike, you actually have the sound levels from the exit 91 as proof that we do have problems. We were just excluded from the sound study, which of course the Ocean County Health Department did the readings and showing we exceeded the acceptable levels. And since this is a multi-year project and they're just finishing it, the road actually has moved closer. So perhaps we can, something like that can be done. I don't know. Just try something different, because what we're doing is not working. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir. In the plaid green? You? Sorry, I don't know
you doing? My name is Pastor Goodman. I live in the Maple Leaf Complex. I've been there for 4 years, the last 3. I first got there, messed up. Yeah, you're gonna find drugs anywhere. You ain't gonna get away from that. But, you know, the guys there, we have church there, we have after-school program. But I sit and I watch. It's what's coming into the community line. Everybody don't live in Maple Leaf. That's just a spot we have. And there's a spot there, hot spot. But the thing here, now that I'm there, you got a lot of young kids coming here. That's the problem I have. You got young kids. And I told them over 2 or 3 years ago, I used to come outside and I see bags outside on the ground. And when you see dope bags outside, that's not adults, that's kids. Adults go in the house. And my issue is right now, they know me in the community, whereas I talk to them, let them know, listen, you can't do certain stuff, you know, it shouldn't be there. But an adult, if they decide to do some craziness like that, yeah, Maple Leaf has its issues, but it's not as bad as they claim it. I've been in worse places. I've been in places where you don't even get out the car. You just ride through. And I just believe we come together in communication. It's a problem that can be solved. Because this ain't like the first time we had a drug problem somewhere, and it's been solved. It come together, association, the community come together as a whole. There's an issue that needs to be dealt with. There's an issue that needs to be dealt with. And it needs to be dealt with because these young kids don't realize what they're getting into. To them, it's recreation, it's something. I'm going out to a party, I'm gonna try something. But they don't realize that this could be a 30-year spiral. Their life go down the tube. For 30 years, you'll be struck out. I'm a recovering addict, been clean 25 years. When did it start? As a young kid. They're gonna go and have going to a party. And that's why I put back into the community. The young kids, with their help, without them helping me out, without them opening up the doors to have church, we have after school program, we feed over there, we do Christmas things over there, you know, we have a coat drive coming up, but we try to get to the kids. Some of them, at a certain age, their mindset is set. You know, it is terrible that at a certain age, a child get a mindset, unless they have a bad experience. And like I said, with the police force, you gotta communicate. When I came over to Officer Kelly, all the kids love him. Why? Because he take time and then talk to them. If they build up trust in you, it took the after school program about 3 years, and now the kids are just starting to trust them. And when they trust you, you'd be surprised what they tell you. You see, and if you get them to trust you, they tell you anything. They'll tell you anything. But I'm just saying that Maple Leaf isn't one of it's a disaster. You gotta run these folks out. No, we gotta come together. We have a problem. We need to come together and find a solution. Because those good people, they're just like anybody else. They just got some issues. Some of them in that situation because economically they can't live around. But usually when you find poor neighborhoods of people, economic problem, that's what you find drug issues. You find issues. And I come as a pastor, as the community. Let's come together and help. You know, we all can sit around and criticize, but we need to come up with a solution. And I believe that I hear you. At least it's an issue. You know, y'all concerned about the people in the neighborhood. You're concerned. I'm concerned. So we need to come together, Hope Association. We all come together and we can solve the problem. At least make a difference. Folks, and I'm telling you, I'm on record. If they sell them, there's a place for them. They need to go to jail. Bottom line.
Thank you for coming in. Yes, ma'am?
My name is Lorraine Vanderbeck. I also live in Sawmill. I have lived there for 18 years. Before it was owned by my parents, bought in 1974. I married and moved out, and when my mom died in 1995, I moved back in with my dad and bought it in 1996. I have watched my development go from good to bad to worse. The Section 8, I don't understand how they allowed, I have no problem with Section 8, but in 2008, when I tried to sell my unit, I was told, a nice woman came in, she was a teacher, she wanted to buy my unit, and she was told that she could not get a mortgage because there was too many renters and not enough owners. So I cannot sell my unit because there is too many Section 8s in there. And I don't know how that was allowed to happen in a short amount of time. As for the apartments, I live right next door to the apartment. And I'm sure I did speak with the police chief when he did come to our meeting in our development. And I had a gentleman who, or gentleman, I won't even say that, lived next door to me and decided to shoot a gun Easter morning. And 3 o'clock in the morning, he's out there shooting a gun. The police came. My husband had to help the police to find where he was. He was arrested and out in 4 months. Wasn't supposed to be allowed back in the apartment, but his brother was allowed to be in the apartment because Section 8 was handed on to the brother. The mother died. I didn't even know that. Mother died, and now the brother was now allowed to keep the apartment. And he also was arrested. And now I have even worse in there, okay? As for the cameras, one day I get home, there's 4 big men drinking underneath the tree right out front of my house. Drinking, just right out there. I'm saying, my nephew, I'm not mentioning his name, is on the brick police. And I called him, I said, what do I do? He said, well, you can call, but you might not want to start trouble. So I'm like, well, okay. My husband went out there. He said, hey, you know there's cameras here. We went to there, and I'm not blaming Myron because I do like Myron, okay? I know he's trying. But we went there, and the camera said they couldn't see them. So I don't know where these cameras are looking because they couldn't see them if they were right out front underneath a tree, right next to my house, drinking. I'm just, as I said, disgusted by what has gone on here. I don't know. I wasn't even going to speak. I just came because I've been living there. I have 2 adult daughters now, one that still lives with me, one that has moved out. My adult daughter works nights, and every night I'm panicked that I have to get my free spot so that she has the spot up in front of my house so that I know she can get into the house safe. Because I don't want her walking down the block. So when they say it's not dangerous, it's dangerous, okay? I live there. It's dangerous. I've called several times. I have called the police. I've done what I'm supposed to do. Neighborhood watch, I don't really think that's going to work. I'm happy to see the cops in there every day now. Very happy. Makes me feel safe when I do come home to see a police officer in there. That's really all I came to say. I'm just, like I said, I hope something will change, and I hope that they will limit the Section 8s so that we can, if we decide to sell our condos, be able to get out there when somebody can't even get a mortgage. And I had a very nice black woman who wanted to buy my apartment and was unable to get a mortgage because of that. So I don't know. Now I have a chance of maybe selling it to somebody who wants to come in and just buy it and do Section 8. You know, and they're only offering me well under what I feel that it's. I mean, my husband is a home improvements man. He's put a lot of work into our home. So that's it. That's all I wanted to say. And as I said, I wasn't even going to speak, but I'm just, you know, and I do appreciate that Myron is trying to help. I do appreciate that. I do speak to Stacy on a regular basis, and he knows that. I call her constantly to tell her things that are going on. But I don't know what else to do. So that's it. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Carol Mancuso, and I'm a resident of Sandy Point. I'm at 68 Nina Court, and I'm here on behalf of Gary Chapman and the community. That home that is, you know, the mold infested, it was struck by, you know, Storm Sandy. It's apparent that, you know, it definitely has water in it, and the health issues really disturb me, and I would like to know if there's anything that we can do regarding, you know, tearing down that home. I mean, how many homes is there a priority of homes that the money that we were given as a grant, that this home might be one of the priority homes because of the mold issue and for mortgage companies and, you know, trying to figure out who's who to resolve that issue? Is the township building department, are they able to go in there? Because you said that he had been there 4 times. Isn't there anything that he can do? Because you said the outside doesn't warrant you to go inside?
There's, Mrs. Mancuso, thank you for your comments. There is criteria that he is obligated to follow as a licensed construction code official that determine if he can take an exterior inspection, if what occurs at that point in time justifies him going through the legal process of getting the approval for an interior inspection. And at this point in time, that justification does not exist. I can speak briefly also about the grant that you asked about. The DCA came and met, Department of Community Affairs for the state, came and met with the mayor and myself and some other staff members, and there is grant funding that's coming to the town to demolish properties. We have given them a list of all of the abandoned properties that were impacted by Sandy, and we're hoping to be fully funded for all of those properties. The state is going to prioritize that list on its criteria that it has based on the federal funding that the state received to implement this program. So they are looking to do certain areas. They are looking to do this program in clusters because they are going to have to prioritize how they fund it. They're going to fund in many other municipalities other than Brick. They don't have nearly enough money to demolish all of the houses that they'd like to. So they are in the process of determining which properties would be demolished based on the criteria they have established for clusters, its applicability, its severity, and so on and so forth. So we do not know yet what properties will be initially funded through the first round of money for the demolitions, but we are cooperating fully with the state. When they come out and do site inspections, we go with them. We really do try to stay on top of the changes in these properties as much as we can. So if a condition changes that would prompt us to do more, perhaps get an interior inspection or continue to process our rights to demolish structures that are not safe, we would be doing that. So we will continue to do our regular inspections and to work with the state to get as many homes that need to be demolished in the Township of Brick demolished as soon as possible.
But in the meantime, is there a way that we can continue giving violations with summonses to that?
Two were issued today. Two were issued today.
Great, thank you. A suggestion regarding Maple Leaf, I had a question. Is there a possibility of putting a gate and a guard at that Maple Leaf area? I remember many years ago, I thought there was 2 ways in.
Yeah.
Can there be a, you know, if we could talk
Great idea.
management?
That's a great idea.
All right, and I don't want to take up anybody's time, but maybe you could back up on that. Thank you.
Liz, would you like to come up?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jim Zago, and I'm the board president of Maple Leaf Park. I've been the board president since 2003. When I joined the board, the place was crumbling. The buildings were falling apart, the decks were collapsing, the concrete sidewalks were a mess. The place was in serious danger of just being a total slump. And over the years, we got the buildings in shape, we sided the buildings, we fixed as much of the concrete as we could. We replaced the roofs, we had all the decks replaced. These were quite costly items. So, you know, I personally take great offense when people try to say that management is negligent in getting things done. We've been hit with so many roadblocks trying to change rules and regulations based on the bylaws that were written in the community 40+ years ago. I tried to put in a rental restriction whereby if anyone moves in, purchases a unit, they'd have to live in the unit at least 2 years before they can rent it. That was blocked by the bylaws of the complex. In order for us to try to change the bylaws of the complex, we have to have a certain percentage of homeowners who are willing to vote yes to do that in order for us to do that. Unfortunately, we can't get that many homeowners to agree to do that. We have had so many different companies come in, patrol companies to come in to monitor the streets. We used to pay a security service to come in. Used to have 4 cars there in the parking lot, staged there, and someone there at night roaming through the streets. We found out that wasn't very effective because several times we would find that the patrol cars the officers were sleeping in the car. Okay, I mean, believe me, we have tried everything we possibly can. We have had meetings with the former mayor with Chief Bergquist. We've had them come to the complex. We've done everything we possibly can to try to get help from the Brick Township Police to try to help us with this crime situation going on there. We have made great strides over the last few years with the camera systems. We've the Brick Township Police, they've had the task force in there. They've made many arrests. They've cleaned up quite a bit of it. Yes, there's still work to do. You, Councilwoman, said you came through the area 4 times, and you were deathly afraid. I wish you'd elaborate.
I didn't use the word deathly. I said afraid.
Okay, and why were you afraid? That's what I'd like to know.
Why was I afraid? Because of the volumes of people going in and out and walking around in very dark locations. That's why. That's why.
Well,
I'm a woman. I was driving alone in the vehicle, and I can tell you unequivocally, I was afraid.
Well, I'm glad you were afraid, because maybe now you and the rest of the board and council will do something to help us through the police, through your ordinance, through your agencies. There's only so much we can do.
We fully intend to.
Just like you said, you have cameras at your place of business.
Yes.
You're not having anyone monitor them at night.
No, I monitor them in the morning, but I have a law practice. I have a very different, I'm not responsible for people's lives living in units. I'm responsible for a law practice.
We've had these cameras set up now for a while. From the onset, we offered to the Brick Police to go on live feed so that they would have 24/7 access to the cameras.
But if they're not working, they're not doing any good right now.
They were working up until 3 months ago.
That's
Prior
3
to-
months.
Forget about, I'm talking about since before then. We offered to the Brick Township Police for the live feed, and it was always just pushed to the wayside. They didn't want to commit to doing it. Okay? Myron had a meeting with the police recently, and now they're willing to listen to us to go on to live feed.
Mr. Zagel, may I interrupt for 1 second? Excuse me, my name is Joanne Bergen, the administrator, and we did not refuse to go on live feed. I want to clarify that. The police department never refused that opportunity. Myron, in fact, confirmed this earlier, so you might want to speak with him. There were issues, technical issues that could not be overcome. So we intend to revisit that and would very much appreciate the opportunity to go on live feed, but we certainly did not dismiss the idea, nor did we refuse to cooperate. We would very much support that initiative.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, because like I said, I've been down the board for 11 years. I'll be honest with you. I have family, I no longer live there. I own 3 units and I rent them out, okay? As far as the Section 8 situation is concerned, I placed an ad on Craigslist one time and specifically wrote Section 8 not accepted. I almost got sued. I had to take that out, okay? You can't discriminate if someone comes to rent your property because they're on Section 8. If Section 8 will approve the rent and they don't have a criminal background, you just can't discriminate against somebody. You have to be very careful on how when you reject somebody that comes to you looking to be a tenant. So, I mean, there are so many things that the average person who's not a landlord, who's not a property manager, who's not a property owner, they don't realize. Believe me, I'm not a slumlord. Every time code enforcement comes to my properties, and every time I have to get a new CO, they always say to me, I wish everybody took care of their property and every landlord was like you. The house is painted, every inch of it's painted, it's spotless. If rugs need to be replaced, they're replaced, the flooring needs to be replaced. I screen my tenants as best I can. But let me tell you, it's not always easy. A lot of times I've been duped. You think you're getting the greatest tenant in the world, and they turn out to be less than stellar. So, I don't want to, I just can't, to stand here and have everybody say, oh, the slumlord this, the slumlord that. We have slumlords. I'll tell you, we have slumlords in Maple Leaf Park. Myron fights with them all the time. We're constantly calling code enforcement. There are, things that are beyond our control. There's only so many things that we as a board and as a property management company can do within the laws that allow us to do. But we need help. We're doing the best we can. Board members we're not paid to be on the board. I am constantly, every single day of my life, even throughout my day when I'm working, I'm constantly emailing and checking up on what's going on in the complex, okay? I'm not getting paid to do this. But I'll be honest with you, I'm afraid to leave the board because I don't know who's going to come in and backtrack us 10 years from where it was before. But all I'm trying to say is we need help from the Township of Brick, from the police department, from code enforcement, from you people. Anything you can do, we would really appreciate it.
Thank
That's
you,
all I
Mr.
have to
Sago.
say.
We appreciate you coming
And I want to
out.
thank everybody for letting me go over the 5 minutes.
Sir, you haven't come up before.
Stephen Cancel, 306B Sawmill Road. Thank you, Mayor and Council. The board is here, and there's what I'm getting is that they don't know why they're here. They're insulted to be taken to task here. I'm holding a Brick Shoreby article that someone thankfully published. I didn't even know I had to hear about it from someone else, from a third party. But if you're here for no reason, and people are lying and saying that Maple Leaf is unsafe. And
Sir, I need you to address us.
Sorry.
Thank you.
In 12 days since the last meeting, this got 341 shares on Facebook. It got 127 comments, and it got 147 likes. And I know maybe Facebook isn't your thing, but if I could ask one thing of any or all of you, it's to read these comments from Brick residents who don't even live in Maple Leaf and know exactly what's going on. It's the people kind of have spoken. This gentleman that came and blasted, I felt that I could just walk away because he covered so much ground and he knows. But you can read the comments for yourself. You don't know why you're here, but you're the only condo association here, Myron and Jim Zago and others. Other condo association boards aren't being brought here because maybe there isn't quite the same problem that you're having. And then help was asked by the board president just now. Are you saying you need your hand held? Because if you're going to run a board, you got to be competent enough to run it successfully. And if you're a management company, you have to be competent enough to have a safe community. One more thing I'll ask is for the board or whoever to drive past behind Kimball Medical Center and look at High Point condominiums. It is a godforsaken. It's sad that people have to live like that. And I'm pretty certain that Myron over here has a hand in managing that place. So if you want to see his handiwork, drive past that. Someone says they do a good job, but you look at their product, and it's cringeworthy at best, and it's awful and unsafe. Then that doesn't the math doesn't add up. Burn Tavern Manor, which is about a mile from Maple Leaf, is currently trying to out their board because of. I'm just going to read some complaints. Management is not in accordance with association bylaws, conflicts of interest, deterioration of property, decrease in market values, lack of accountability, and the board of directors not voted for by us. No one voted for Maple Leaf's board. They're unelected. They refuse to be brought into a situation where they can be ousted, and that's the reason that they're still there. Because if we're based on results, you wouldn't be there. Sorry for not. If an outsider comes into Maple Leaf, we expect crime and delinquency. But when the board, who is the guardian, and the management company, who is the guardian, allows chaos, crime. I watched a 41-second gang initiation from my back porch a couple years ago by, I believe it was Bloods. It's red. They wore red. I've got homies sitting on my car. I'm usually at work or at school. But I get people sit on my neighbor's car. Then I go and ask about the cameras, and they say they're not working since July 16th. That's the quality of leadership and accountability. I have to ponder in my mind, if I'm ever in a situation where I got to tell someone to get off my car, that I gotta weigh the alternatives. I got to say, is this worth it? You try to leave the cops out of it, but that's the atmosphere created in Maple Leaf Park, and the board of directors is the father of that. You're the author of that. The management company, you are the author of that. You have don't ask for the township to hold your hand. If you can't do it, just vacate. If you're incompetent, just vacate and let someone who's more competent step up and improve Maple Leaf, because there's a lot of people who are able and are willing and not afraid to do it, and that will take it, bring it back into 2014. Instead of a small ghetto. The mayor of Seaside Heights' son just overdosed on heroin last week. I read the article. And heroin seems to be a big problem, and Maple Leaf Park is a big hub. There's been 65 overdose deaths this year. There was 112 drug overdoses last year in Ocean County. These are high numbers, and we shouldn't be. The gentleman came up before and said it's not as bad as some places. Brick isn't judged by standards of lower, more crime-ridden cities. It's a good city. That's why we're here. For the board to fight that, I'm trying to understand why. I'd be embarrassed if I came here in a failing, crime-ridden place that 340 people agreed. I mean, if you read the comments, you'll see 90% are in agreement with the sentiment that it's unsafe and that something needs to be done. So I'd be embarrassed to show up here if that was my handiwork. Thank you.
Do you mind leaving those articles that you have for us with our
Yes.
secretary?
Yes.
I would appreciate it, thank you. Sir in the back in the blue tie.
Good evening, board. My name is Ed Kenmure. I live on Windcrest Court behind Maple Leaf. And I'm a mortgage lender. And I feel so bad for the people that are here today because everything that every person here has said is true. And the reason why I say that is Brick is and was a great community. And it's been in the paper year after year, 5 and 6 years ago, #1 community to live in, and everybody migrated. Unfortunately, what has happened in Maple Leaf, it's not a place that anyone wants to own or live in permanently. It's a standby location. And the situation is you have the power because there are a number of things you need to do. Over 70% from the numbers I saw in the paper the other day of the people that live there are tenants, which means 70% of 375 units are people who own the properties but don't live there. That's not fair to the people who do live there. And to give a positive comment for the management of the board, they're at the will of the association, who are the people that own the property. So the situation is you need to find a way as a board and us as a town to squeeze these investors into saying this isn't such a great investment anymore, where they can charge $1,100 and $1,200 in rent, much of it being paid by Section 8, and the people don't care about where they live. It's a standby location for them. We are a great community. I've been here for 20 years, and I love it here. I have 4 children. All of them go to these schools. I have an 11 and a 13-year-old, and what I will say is I recruit kids. I coached Pop Warner here for the last 15 years. I recruit kids out of there. I drop them home every night, and I see exactly what goes on. The property isn't ugly. It isn't destroyed. I mean, yeah, there's dirt in certain areas and garbage in other areas, but that's the same anywhere. The key is these properties cannot be financed because of the way it's being run. These investors have come in and paid cash, and they're driving the values down. I took a look into yesterday, and every one of those units are between $80,000 and $90,000, where comparative units in other areas of town are $150,000, $180,000, and $200,000. What we need to do is make it a place people want to own and live in, and by stopping the investors from making all this money with $80,000 investment, making $12,000, $15,000 a year with no claims of retribution from the town. Fine them if they don't keep it to code, and if it's costing us as a town all this money to keep police and patrol the area. My idea before, with the young lady who said it before me, is let's put the gate system up. You have people coming in, and guess what? What's your name, what unit are you going to, and who are you going to see by name? And that guy up front should have a list. Oh, unit 152B? No, Bill Thomas doesn't live there. I'm sorry, I can't let you in. And you know what? That's the only place you need a camera, on the plate going in and the plate coming out. 2 units, 2 buildings, there's only 2 entrances, and a guard there all night, period. Because drug dealers like to deal at night. Yeah, I appreciate your comments. I'm born and raised in Jersey City, so I know exactly what you're talking about, being afraid. Look, I'm not afraid. I've had to go back there and chase kids out of my neighborhood and who's throwing stuff over the yard, breaking the windows. But the point is, we need to make it a place where people want to own again and live again. I almost wanted to cry for that lady, because I've tried to do loans in there years ago, and I saw the spiraling downward. Find the people who are not keeping their property to code, and let's do something by monitoring who goes in and who goes out. Whatever the issues are, these gentlemen here have to answer to the association, which is represented by the owners. Let's make them responsible. 70% of them are investors. We can turn it around.
Thank you.
Well said, Coach.
Mr. Slunka.
Good evening. Let me read my note. You all read it, I hope. Mayor John Daly, Council President
John
Lydecker,
Ducey.
Brick Township. What
I'm
did I
sorry,
say?
John Ducey.
John Ducey. Yeah, I heard he was moving
That's
to
a roll
Chicago.
Yeah.
Just recently, he was moving to Chicago, so. I'm getting like the first lady, then can't get the name straight, right? But I've been listening so long tonight about so many
Mr.
different people.
Sluka, after all the times you've been up here, come on.
He had his glasses on.
Don't, good thing I had a short letter tonight, because I wasted about 30 seconds of it already. Okay, there is still a severe health issue related to the parkway construction of wider travel lanes that the NJTI said were created for a clear zone and extended exit lanes and shoulder. The New Jersey Turnpike Authority said they needed to destroy tens of thousands, actually hundreds of thousands of trees in order to widen the roadway in order to provide safety for the high-speed drivers in the area. Over the next 25 years, this may well save the lives of dozens of drivers, but in the process will cause premature deaths to hundreds of Brick residents. It will cause severe asthmatic conditions, heart problems, cancers, and other lung ailments to thousands of children and their parents and grandparents who wait at the bus stops for those school buses. It will cause these and other ailments to thousands of others who frequent the neighborhood parks and playgrounds, stores, and sidewalks. For those people, they can't believe this could happen. All they have to do is go to the Brick Township Council meeting videos over the past few weeks and watch Mr. Brill's testimony that he gave. If you don't believe a big government agency will lie about impacts of things for their own benefit, one need to look at the news every day and see what's happening with Ebola, enterovirus, and other influenzas throughout this country. Trucks are not allowed on the parkway above exit 105, but are allowed to dump diesel exhaust on residents of southern Monmouth County, Ocean County, and Atlantic County. The working class has almost no power against big government agencies like the New Jersey Turnpike Authority, unless their duly elected representatives find ways to stop the abuse to their citizenry. Local officials, statewide officials, and in reality, all elected officials need to do more. They are the representatives of the residents and have the honor of being the advocate of the citizens. We were told Mayor Ducey, not Daly, had sent a firm letter to the Turnpike Authority telling the commissioners to mitigate the situation in some manner, but his words seem to have no impact. The commissioners are the overseers of what the NJTI does and will be held eventually financially, criminally responsible for the inaction when it's proved that Brick residents have been physically harmed by the toxins that the commissioners allowed to be cast upon all our residents. If it means the local officials must seek the aid of the governor and other statewide officials, or even relief in the courts, they are the representatives of the working class people of the area, and this must be done. Unfortunately, all this takes time, and in the process of the health and well-being of all the residents deteriorate. Someday, the injured children will be compensated, but they don't want compensation or judgments. They want normal living conditions. The problem is still the Brick Township residents are being physically harmed and will face debilitating illness and ultimately premature deaths. Something must be done and done soon, as the destruction of lung tissue is irreversible. And I know this battle with big government agencies seems to be hopeless, but with determined support, eventually the Turnpike Authority will do the right thing. There are hundreds of Brick residents, especially the seniors and children, that are being impacted. Their lungs and hearts are being harmed, and just like the tobacco companies from years ago that talked about tobacco smoke, that it was not harming anybody, obviously that's not the case, proved 40 years later. 40 years from now is too late. So the priority must be that the fact is that we need to do something and do it soon. And whether it's getting the Turnpike to do it or do it ourselves, something has to be done. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cancel?
My name is James Cancel, Maple Leaf Park resident, about 7 years. I'm going to trust this council, after what's been spoken here and what I speak, to judge for yourself. Judge for integrity, judge for self-awareness, judge for honesty. I want to address what was said by Mr. Zago about rental restrictions, that he's tried to institute rental restrictions. They took a straw poll. Now, there's 359 units, 70% are rented out, and each owner gets a vote, but some owners own 18 units, 7. So they took a straw poll. And of course, there was about 70 votes said, no, we don't want rental restrictions, and 15 or whatever it said, nobody bothered voting. Just like they don't bother voting in the election. He got 71 votes, she got about 70, and then Mike DeLuca, who's not here, who's renting out his unit illegally without a CO, got close to the same. Many of those votes were given to people not in good standing because they don't have the CO records up to date. So they really weren't entitled to vote.
How many did you get, Jim?
I'm sorry, sir. No calling out from the floor.
So this is what you have here. So I asked the lawyer one time, are you the lawyer?
Please direct
I'm
your
sorry, the lawyer who was there, present, and I said, you can go to the Superior Court and request this restriction. He said, yeah, you could. He admitted, you could. They don't do it, though. There's a lot of things they don't do. I spoke with Myron every day. I told him, Mike DeLuca doesn't have a CO. 324A, 324B, all 324, all 326. He doesn't care. And I'm going to show you, if I may, what he sent me recently. It says, this is from the law firm, the McGovern Law Firm, their lawyer. Dear Mr. Cancel, our office represents Maple Leaf Park Association. I'm writing in response to your September 23rd, 2014 correspondence regarding whether certain units in the community have current certificates of occupancy. The Township of Brick Code Enforcement Department, not the association, provides and monitors certificates of occupancy. True, but we have a leasing resolution that says you can't lease a unit without a current CO, a legitimate CO. And there's a lease rider on it that before you lease the unit, you have to have it. Well, how are we leasing these units? Fair enough question, right? But does he take, now if I was an association caring for the welfare of the citizens, I would check into that and I would look. And if you do, you'll find that often, many of them are slumlords, drug addicts. So I'll finish this thing. But so neither the association's governing documents, which I just told you is not true, nor the association's rental resolution require the association to what? Monitor certificates of occupancy. Therefore, please direct any questions pertaining to status of certificates of occupancy to the township. Now, the word monitor, you're right. They don't have to monitor COs. But you have a duty as a board to enforce the governing documents. And they're not doing it. And they don't want to do it. Sorry about that. Myron now, I'm running Maple Leaf, runs High Point. These rental units are a tunnel. These are a tunnel for drugs and landlords, and let me read this to you. NJSA, this is our state, 40-4.48, acknowledged a growing problem with rental properties in many municipalities in the state. The legislature found and declared that municipal residents have experienced disturbances, damage, public expense resulting from carelessly granted and inadequately supervised rentals to irresponsible tenants by inept or indifferent landlords. But the courts, they could say, well, that's not our problem, but I have case law that I'm going to give to Mrs. Pontiero and to the chief that's going to show that the courts view them as a landlord, the same responsibilities as a landlord to keep the common ground safe. That's a fact. They're not doing it, and they don't care to do it. Let me read to you Delaware title. They must have had problems the same way. Special proceedings, criminal nuisance abatement. May I continue?
Can we see if there's any other first-time
Yes, go
people on
ahead.
the floor before we can continue? Are there any other residents that have not been up yet that wish to speak?
George.
I'll wait.
Okay, Mr. Hinsdale, you can continue.
Thank you. This chapter shall liberally be construed and applied so as to promote its underlying purpose, the underlying purpose, which they should have, to eliminate locations that otherwise attract criminals, violence, and the threat of violence, which is, it's drug trade or any of the other nuisance contained here. Definitions: adverse impact means the presence of one or more of the following conditions. Tell me Maple Leaf doesn't have this. Diminished real property value. Absolutely. Increased fear of residents to walk through or in public areas. Absolutely. Including the presence of nuisances associated with drug activity, illegal fun. Increased volume of vehicular and pedestrian traffic to and from property. An increase in the number of police calls to the property that are related. The presence, use, or display, discharge of illegal firearms. We have that. Arrest of persons on or near property. Listen to what the Delaware Department of Justice Crime-Free Multiple Housing Program said. An innovative crime prevention model developed in West in 1992 and now used in 44 states. This program focuses on addressing the rental property policies and procedures that allow the criminal element to slip through the cracks, moving destructively from one property to the next, wreaking havoc, destroying neighborhoods, quality of life. This program educates rental property owners about how to protect themselves from securing undesirables. This is what Maple Leaf has. I sat in a meeting, an open public meeting, and there's people here that can say it. And I addressed Jim Zago on the fact that he lied on mortgage applications, and he got real
Sir,
angry.
I'm sorry, we cannot.
I'm not going to listen to this, because he's a liar.
And I'm stopping it now, and I would appreciate if you would
Shut
sit
him down.
down.
Because I got plenty to say too.
Sir, I need you to sit down. We cannot make derogatory comments that we don't know are facts.
Okay.
They're lies.
He sat there in a meeting, and here's a fact. The guy who doesn't get paid got a $450 meal reimbursement. But he didn't want to tell me the truth about an open meeting, so I had to go and get the proof, return it to him, and I have the paper that says from the management company that it was for a lengthy budget meeting that he got a $450.
But these are management issues that we can't address.
But I'm
because
trying
that is
to
board
address
issues.
the insincerity so you understand what
But
you're
I
dealing
need you
with.
to address the
Okay.
problems that you're having as a community and a resident
All right.
there.
So you get that. These tunnels I'm talking about. Let me go to what I call the gorge ticks of our community, the civic parasites. May I say a name?
No.
All right. A certain owner bought 5 properties in 2008. 195,000, 180,000, 180,000, 195,000, 195,000. This same owner in 2011 had a certificate for sale for unpaid municipal liens. 2011, lien for $2,959. 2013, Maple Leaf Park lien for $3,315. For another property, $3,000. On and on and on. This is what's happening. Municipal liens. These people don't care. They do not care. And this board, and I'm telling you, they don't care either, because they would. I could do something about this. I would investigate. They have a duty to make and it's a fiduciary duty to do due diligence to investigate. Well, let me tell you, I'm in Unit 306. This Saturday, the police cruiser went by, and I was right there working on my building. And there's the unit from 304, which we've complained about, and they know, right? They've tortured my Polish neighbor back there, tortured him. And we've written to the association. They've written, I've got the documents here, and they say there's nothing we can do. It's your word against them. But you have the cameras. Oh, but we don't have the cameras. Because if you had the cameras, you could see it's not your word against them. You could see them actually committing these things. Okay, but what about due diligence? The police have been called there 3 times. DIFAS has been called. The police went by, and there was people hanging around. The minute they left, I'd say an hour later, 8, 9 people walked out of that unit. You know, drug, whatever went on there. There's 3 children in that unit. There's 3 little children in that unit. There are parties all night long, 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock, peeing off the balcony because there's so many people there. This association has been told, you would think, and they have the ability through our documents to evict people. And what's funny is if you take crime reports and you go on that purpose, they'll be evicted in 3 days. But if you want to hang around and try and say they didn't pay rent, it's 30 days. We have this ability. We're not doing it. Why? Why isn't Myra not doing that? Why is there not due diligence? Wouldn't you do that? Wouldn't you? I think you get the point. What you can do, here's what I think you can and should do. We know code enforcement. Code enforcement police work together. They're allowed through the provisions of the NJSA to work together. A police officer, we have to change the tactics on investigation. When there's a police call, you have to go up. You have to take notes. You have to ask other neighbors, what's going on? What do you think?
Mr. Pinsell, I do need you to.
Thank you.
You can finish your comment, but I do need you to wrap it
Okay,
up.
I'll wrap it up. These are my suggestions. What I just told you. The police have to acquire some muscle and get greater investigative techniques. They have to get out of that squad car. They have to walk around with a notepad. They have to go up and ask people, where are you from? I'm not asking stop and frisk. You have to go up and say, what's going on? Where do you live? Why are you living here? So that it's, get the truth, ascertain, get a feel for this community. That's what they can do. Code enforcement, you have to fashion something that they don't slip through the cracks. You got to dig right now. You got to go and you got to go through the files. Ask them if they'll show you the cameras. Ask them if they'll present to you what they have on file. Ask them if they'll help you, if they'll aid you. See what happens. And then I ask for a lockbox to be secured on our complex, that the police can go with keys for every common hallway, because that's a common element. That the police can go in there, that locked box is there, and the police have access to it to go into these common hallways. Maybe they'll work with you that way, because winter's coming, and that's where they're going to be. And they can also go in. There's much more I'd like that you can call me, ask me. Sorry, but these people are insincere.
Thank you. Mr. Scott?
George Scott. I guess I'll stay with the hot topic for a minute. As a resident, and as most residents here, including yourselves, nobody wants drugs in their area. You know, whether it's on your block, it's on the other side of town, it just hurts everybody. Evidently, they opened up a dialogue. Like a lot of you said, they really got to talk this out, both the tenants and the management. I did ask the gentleman that was up here before, you're talking 359 units. Their maintenance fee is $160, is what he told me. 20% he said don't pay the maintenance fee. But there's a problem right off the bat. So somebody's got to sit down, straighten it out. You know, I don't know how they go after it, but somebody's got to make a lesson and make those people responsible one way or another. You know, they just can't continue. But the gentleman said about, you know, people not paying their share of municipal liens, that's taxes. I got to say, our tax department here, we don't take those losses. You know, we do sell the tax liens. We have a 99% rate of retrieval, so we as a whole don't get hurt. The actual person that owes that money winds up paying that interest or a premium on that. But that's not the problem. The problem at hand is, you know, doing something about that situation. If it needs to be raising the amount of the money that they pay to put gates there or a monitor of cameras, then, you know, they all should get together and talk about that. You know, I'd like to see that issue corrected as much as possible. My second point is what the gentleman came up from Sandy Point with the abandoned house. I've complained to the construction people downstairs. I have a house on my block empty 6 years, so 5 years, I'm way ahead of them. We just don't have the tools, and something has to be done to do that. We have to motivate the banks. We have to, you know, generate some interest where they're not going to sit on these houses. I pay almost $14,000 in taxes. 3 doors away, I got to look at an empty house that's deteriorating for 6 years. Nothing's being done. That's just ridiculous. We have a meeting of the maintenance board tomorrow. We'll see what happens there. As I explained to the mayor before, monthly meetings are canceled, monthly meetings are postponed. Hopefully that's going to move on. I would like, in front of you, to ask the business administrator, maybe she could attend one of those meetings and just see what kind of progress is made or not made in her personal opinion. you know, not just one individual like myself. I'm going to mention Bricktoberfest on Saturday. I do support things that happen. The weather was nice. There's a lot of you people there. That's the good part. The bad part, as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to go on record, and I talked to Joanne. I want to know what the costs were involved. The vendor for the rides only paid $500 to the township. I know I only had 5 of my 11 grandchildren there. In less than 25 minutes, I was out $150. It was very expensive, very expensive. I could have went to Point Pleasant for way less than half that money. I really think you got to look into that for next year, because we certainly did get a bang for the buck, and I think the taxpayers got taken over the coals as far as that was concerned. So it's something that you're going to have to look into next year. After this meeting, there's no more meetings for Election Day, so I'm just going to say for everybody out there watching, I know all of you are going to vote. I certainly will myself on Election Day, no matter who you think is the right person. Please get out and vote. It's something that you should take serious. Our budget here is one thing, but the budget across the street is even more. There are people running for the school board. Don't miss your opportunity to go down the ballot, because they're not right at the top. Consider that. They spend a lot of money. Take that in mind. And last but not least, again, with children like you're worried about, I have grandchildren. We do have trunk or treat. It's a safe thing. Kids still go out and ring doorbells, at least they do in my neighborhood. So on Halloween, as you always state, please be careful driving. Some of them are not that lit. They stay out a little too late. So, you know, keep that in mind. And that's all I have to say for tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other residents wish to be heard this evening? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to close public comments and move on to council and administration comments, and I'll begin at the mayor's table.
I have nothing, thank you.
Thank you. The Buy and Brick program, it started officially on October 1st. There's a bunch of different businesses. I know Councilwoman DeYoung is going to talk about the businesses. If you haven't picked up your card yet, please stop in here to Town Hall and pick it up. We're always going to be updating the businesses. They're going to be posted on our website. They're going to be on Facebook as soon as somebody new signs up. And wherever you eat or shop locally, please ask them to join, because if you go there anyway, you might as well get a credit on your third quarter tax bill, and it helps spread the word. We actually had one other business this past week, or last week, sign up because it was somewhere where somebody shops a lot, and the customer talked them into it. So if we can get more of that, the more businesses, the more credits we have on our third quarter taxes. This past Saturday was our first Bricktoberfest. Very successful, enjoyed it. It was great weather. A lot of people were there. We had the mayor's 5K at the beginning of the day, where I was donating $5 to everybody who finished before me to POAC, to a good cause. And I came in 19th place, which would have been $90 out of pocket, but I rounded it up to $200, so I'm making that donation to POAC in the amount of $200. Hopefully next year we can have more people run the race, and obviously more people come in front of me. Due to bad weather, tomorrow and Thursday, what's predicted, and where the annual trunk or treat was supposed to be tomorrow, it's going to have the rain date now of Friday, this Friday at 6 o'clock at the Drum Point Sports Complex. This Saturday, October 25th, Clean Ocean Action will be hosting its semi-annual beach cleanups. I'll be out there. Senior Services is still asking for donations of grocery store gift cards for seniors in the community. Mail or drop off at Senior Services, or call for more info, 732-920-8686. Township offices are closed on Election and Veterans Day, which are both Tuesdays, November 4th and November 11th, and garbage and recycling are delayed for a day. So if your normal day is a Tuesday, it gets bumped back to a Wednesday, and so forth down the week. Our veterans, lastly, on Bricktoberfest, we're actually, first year we ever did it. Great time, a lot of fun, but of course, just like everything we do, we go back and evaluate. So there's a couple things that we need to add. One, we're looking into doing an all-you-can-ride wristband. This way we can keep the cost down. and just looking at a bunch of different ways we can, make it even better than it was. Perhaps have local bands, they want to show people, what they sound like, so people maybe hire them for a party or for a wedding, maybe have them featured. There was talk about having a council dunk tank there, so all the council people can be up in the dunk tank. We could add that next year. And maybe the mayor would climb in, I'm not sure, business administrator.
Mayor.
But, and lastly, Veterans Day, again, it's this November 11th, as it always is, at 11 a.m. here in the front of the building. We have our services, which are hosted by the American Legion Post number 348 and VFW Post number 8867. So please come out and support our veterans, as we always should, but on that particular day, because that's the day, we definitely should remember them. Above and beyond, 11/11 at 11 a.m. right here at Town Hall. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
No, I just want to go on record as supporting the idea of a mayor's dunk tank next year, not council.
Thank you.
Us too.
Thank you.
And council.
Ladies?
Thank you. I did want to remind everybody that Tuesday, November 4th is our general election. The polls will be open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. that day. We did relocate all of the polling places that were in the schools prior to the primary election. So if you didn't vote in the primary and you are not aware of your new polling place, you should either check your sample ballot or call the office and we could give you that information. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Councilman?
Yes, thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out this evening. That's what we're up here for. We're up to hear what's going on out there. The folks in Maple Leaf, Sandy Point, this is what we do. We will do our very best to get these problems taken care of. To our students of the month, great work. Please keep it up. Again, just to mimic Halloween's coming. Please watch your children in the streets. There's many kids out there, so just be very careful. The point about Maple Leaf, I've been in there many, many times. In my line of work, I'll go in plumbing, heating. Throughout the Monmouth County and Ocean County, there is a solution to that. It's an easy fix. Gentlemen, I'm glad you guys are out here tonight representing. The guard shacks work great. The guard shacks work phenomenal because it's one way in, one way out. You have two entrances. They work phenomenal and they do work. By having a guard, no, I got the floor, you can, but they do work. It does bring up the cost. It's an idea. I'm only throwing out an idea. I'm only a councilman. I'm just throwing out an idea out there.
Sir,
but I still have the
please
floor.
do not call out
I
from
still have the floor.
Thank you.
It's a good idea. So you just throw that around. I'm out there and they do work throughout the towns, and you go there and you show your identification and tell the homeowner that, so-and-so is here. Are you expecting them? Kind of gives a little security to the numbers. There's some beautiful people that live there. A lot of blue-collar workers in there. 90%, 95% are all blue-collar workers. Everybody's just trying to make ends meet. I'm a coach, and I drop off many kids in there. Just like Ed back there, he's also a coach too. So it's something that, there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of kids there. I have kids of my own, so my big thing is the drugs. And so we have to start doing something, and on our part, we'll do our very best. Just wrapping up, again, please be very careful. Drive careful out there. Again, our carbon monoxide alarms, please make sure the batteries are working. Our cold days are here, and good luck, and be careful out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman?
Thank you. Thank you to everybody for coming out tonight. As the mayor said, I'm going to speak a little bit about Buy and Brick. The businesses that we have currently signed up are All Pro Carpet Care, Barlow and Associates Architects, Black Sheep Thrift Shop, Dash Mechanical Heating and Air Conditioning, Coastal Chaos, Decor to Score, Duraplex Inc., Future Dry Cleaners, Holistic Health Spa, IHOP of Brick, Jerry's Dry Cleaners, Jersey Shore Eye Care, Jersey Shore Marina and Boat Sales, Jersey Wave Salon, Joe's Service Center, Jovo's Deli, Kenneth F. Diana DDS, Off the Wall Art Gallery and Picture Framing, River Rock Liquors, River Rock Restaurant and Marina, Salon Milan, Shore Points Driving School, the Soccer Post, the UPS Store, and Villa Victoria. I was at Bricktoberfest. I had a great time. I was actually handing out the Buy and Brick cards as everybody was coming into Bricktoberfest. So it was really great to see everybody there and having a great time not only at Bricktoberfest but also enjoying the Buy and Brick cards. And they've heard about it, some haven't. So we really need the community input to encourage more merchants to sign up. So like the mayor said, we can have so we can save the residents as much money on their third quarter property taxes as possible. Like the mayor said before, Bricktoberfest, it was really, really a fun day, but it was our first year. We do have some ideas to tweak it, and we are looking forward to getting together and being able to make Bricktoberfest even better and bigger for next year. As a couple folks have said, Mr. Scott and Mayor Ducey, we have Trunk or Treat coming up. It was Wednesday, it's now on Friday. A little known fact, Councilwoman Zapsik, when she was here for recreation, she actually started Trunk or Treat with BMAC. And I know a lot of you know about BMAC is an effort that Mayor Zapsik led to bring back after the previous administration.
Well, she's mayor now?
Wait, she's mayor?
Sorry, John.
Mayor Daley. Mayor Daley, what do you think of that?
Sorry, Mayor. Councilwoman Zapsik led the fight to bring it back to Brick after the previous administration had disbanded it. And if you don't know what BMAC is, it's our Brick Municipal Alliance to prevent youth to prevent youth alcohol and drug prevention. Did I say that right? Pretty much. So that is something that we definitely are very, very grateful to her. And she did this, it will start, I believe, in January. We're getting grants, and it's not going to be costing our taxpayers any money. Something else that to look forward to, we have a bunch of our parks that are going to be getting redone very, very soon. Colorado, Lake Riviera, and Angela Hibbard, and Councilwoman Zapsik, as chair of Parks and Recreation, has led the effort to really revamp our recreation master plan and be able to redo these parks and bring them back to the way they were, so that our young people can have a place to go and play. So that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. First, I would like to thank everyone who came out tonight to speak about Maple Leaf. This will require a coordinated community effort, and the more voices we have in the dialogue, the more suggestions, the more ideas, the more it brings to the table. As Councilwoman Poncherero said, we did have a meeting last week with Chief Bergquist, with our construction code official, with our attorney, and it was a very productive meeting. We will be moving ahead. I did speak with Mr. DeSico last week. I spoke with the mayor today at 6 o'clock. When I walked in tonight, he said to me, I'm trying to get a meeting together with the residents on Windcrest Drive. Do you want to sit in? And my words were, not if my schedule is going to prohibit it. Go ahead without me. I'm not the important one here. The important one is that we get this meeting and we get moving on this and let the residents know where we're going with it. So we are moving on some things. It will not be an easy or a quick process, but we do have some good things going on, and I think I'm hopeful that we're going to be able to address the concerns. A few upcoming events on Saturday. This Saturday from 2 to 8, the Laurelton Fire Company is having a spaghetti dinner that is, it's actually being presented, it's at the Laurelton Fire Department. It's being presented by the Brick Police EMS, and it's a fundraiser for an EMT here in Brick who is suffering some health issues. So he's given a lot to the community, and I'd encourage anyone who's available and interested to please come out and support that. On Saturday, November 1st from 5 to 9, there's a fundraiser at the Drum Point Sports Complex for a young woman, a 7-year-old girl who is suffering from a rare medical disorder, and that's a fundraiser to help her family with unexpected costs of travel and whatnot for treatments. And then on November 15th at the River Rock Bar and Grill, there will be a fundraiser for Liam Marino, who has been afflicted with brain cancer, and that is from noon to 5 p.m. and at the River Rock on the 15th. Next week, actually November 7th through 9th and the 14th through the 16th, Guild Theater Works will present romantic comedy at the Bob Anstett Cultural Arts Center. They put on wonderful shows, and I would urge everyone to support the arts here in Brick Township. You can call for reservations. It's a very small venue. Seating is limited, so you do need to call 732-262-1006. It's just a voicemail. If you leave a message, you will get a call back confirming your reservation. And then finally, I wanted to mention that Saturday night, I had the opportunity to represent the real mayor at the Drum Point Sports Complex to help award the Mayor's Cup Trophy in the games between the Brick Dragon Youth Football and Brick Mustang Youth Football. First of all, I want to thank the Dragon President, Rich Talmadge, for making me feel so welcome there. I want to congratulate the teams on both sides. It was a great and exciting night of youth football. I want to commend the young people for their sportsmanship and camaraderie. I'm not going to say that the rivalry between the two sides of town is as old as I am, because it's not quite that old. But I've certainly, for all my years living here in Brick, I've lived with it. It spans the duration of my children's lifetime. But it was really, really nice to see both the teams from both sides, the young men as well as the cheerleaders supporting and encouraging one another. And I really commend the coaches and the leadership of both organizations, because that comes from the top down when you're working with children. And so it was a really good night. And I think it's Rich Talmadge summed it up when he said to the kids, "We are not Mustangs and we are not Dragons, we are Brick Township." So, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Councilor?
Thank you. First, I'd like to start off congratulating the students of the month, Abigail and Kimberly. Also, Alyssa from our engineering department. It's a great honor from her peers that she received that. Also, Mike Fowler. These are people that are behind the scenes working on that grant for the farmers market, which is going to be real nice next year. Bricktoberfest, I had a great time. Brought my grandchild. Only one was able to come. But yes, we're looking at different ways for next year, and input will be great. One thing, abandoned houses was brought up tonight. We are actively working on something for abandoned houses. I can't divulge what we're looking at because it's not been ironed out legally what the town is going to be doing. But rest assured, something will be coming up shortly before the end of the year. A lot of talk was brought up tonight about Section 8 with people being, that always gives people a bad rap. It's not, Section 8 could be a single parent that's being subsidized by the government. That doesn't make them a drug lord or anything of that nature. So that whole stereotype is very bad when it comes to Section 8. Not all people that receive Section 8 are bad. Okay, there's a lot of people that need assistance and just fall into that Section 8. So I think that's something that people stereotype that with, and that's kind of all I have at this point. Thank you. What else? Stealing.
Start me up. First, I want to thank everyone who sent their prayers and well wishes for me while I was ill last week. I may not have been here in person, but the first opportunity that I wasn't being pumped up with morphine, I was watching that council meeting and getting ready to roll with what I had to do. Unfortunately, my medical problems are not over, but I'm fighting through them, and I believe that I can get through them. So I want to thank my friends at Winding River who had me as a guest speaker. I enjoyed my time immensely with them, sharing what our township has to offer senior citizens. And one of the things that came up while I was speaking to these folks was they wanted more things on BTVs. There were a lot of homebound seniors who can't get out to go see that Columbus Day parade that I was in, by the way. I was in with my car with the big Italian flag. I still have 2 Italian flags on the car because it's still Italian Heritage Month in October. I'm just saying, if anyone wants to put the flags up. But these are things that we can work on doing. I've spoken to the mayor about it already. I've spoken to the IT guy about it already. And so maybe we can get these functions, these nicer functions that we do, like the Columbus Day Parade and like the other fun events, even if it's a clip from Bricktoberfest, so that 35% of our population who are seniors who may not feel comfortable breathing the wind or the cold or are not able to get out of their house still have the same opportunities to enjoy the fun in a different way. I also had a fabulous time at the Brick Trap Neuter Release benefit that was held on the, what was it, the 19th. It was on Sunday at the Scone Shop at Laurelton Center down Route 88, which I've never been to before, but had the most incredible scones I could ever imagine. They had a 50-50 in a raffle. They raised over $1,000. Don't be jealous. They raised over $1,000. So far this year, since January, we've managed to neuter over 60 cats, which helps bring down our feral cat population in a humane way. I'm the liaison for the Trap Neuter Release program, so I would tell anyone who has an interest at all in being part of that program, please feel free to contact me and I'll set you up with coming to the meetings. Now, trunk or treat, I will have a Frozen-themed car. The one complaint I had about trunk or treat in previous years is running out of candy. I'm not one of those people who could get to events early, no matter what I do. I have 3 kids. It's like a battle to get out. I think it should be an Olympic event, just getting out of the house with 3 kids. So I'm always late, and so the last time I went, my kids wound up with very little treats. This year I have 80 pounds of candy. Not joking. I would encourage anyone who wants to participate, please bring way more than you think, because this is a very safe way for these kids to get the treats. You're right there with them. The candy's all on sale at all the local places. So stock up, get way more than you think, because it's gone so fast. And to see the little kids go up to the car and not be able to get anything is just heartbreaking. So I want to encourage that. I also want to thank Mike Blandina for all his hard work and effort with the Columbus Day Parade. I had a fabulous time. My whole familia had a fabulous time. My father drove the car, pregnant sister next to me, mother waving the flag like a lunatic out of the back seat, and me pushing the kids in the stroller. It was a great, great, great time. I want to introduce for the first time my newest intern. I want him to come up and stand in front of me. This is Zach Hines. If you want to come up and stand in front of me, that would be fabulous. And turn around so you can face the camera, because your mom's going to want to see that handsome face. This is my newest intern from Brick High School. He is a senior, and he's going to be interning with me. I did speak to the principal tonight. We're going to work on getting 2 seniors for every council member so that young people can have the opportunity to see what it's like to be here. And he actually stayed for the entire meeting, which Zach really impresses me. I'm just really impressed by that alone. Bringing to light the positive things that our children do is the best way to counteract drugs. Praising them for the good things they do, encouraging them to get involved with good people, that's the way to curtail the problem, in tandem with other ordinance changes, in tandem with our police. This is a positive way. This is an excellent example of one of our fine students, and I'm sure he's going to be fabulous for me. So you could sit down, Zach. I won't embarrass you anymore. Everybody, the last thing I have to do is, hold on. Everybody's heard me talk about Project Icebox before, right? Everybody in this room, raise your hand. Okay. Well, now I'm going to make the message as clear as I possibly can. Okay. Project Icebox. These guys who have been promoting this program have been at every one of our events, from Bricktoberfest to, I don't even know, every single event they're there giving out these Project Icebox magnets. And what they are magnets that stick on your refrigerator. You put your medication information, your next of kin information, contact information for your relatives. There's a sticker that goes right by your door. This way, if God forbid you have to call EMS and no one else is there, they will know to look for this on your refrigerator. I've been begging them to borrow this sign because I said, I don't know how much louder I can be, but maybe holding the sign up will remind you. Please call Deb Welty. You can get your signs right from her. You can call.
Not the placards,
You get the
The
little,
magnets.
you're not going to get this, no.
Yes.
Did you really think you were getting this?
Just clarifying in case somebody didn't know. I got to put that on the refrigerator.
No one is getting the sign. Okay, we're going to get a little thing to put on your refrigerator. You can give a call out to Deb Welty. We're also having a senior Thanksgiving brunch on November 19th, and October 31st, the sign-ups start at 10 a.m. So get ready. The number is 732-920-8686. 732-920-8686. So it's going to run from 10:30 a.m. and run until 12:30. They're asking people to carpool if you possibly can because there are going to be limited parking spots. It's going to be held at the Laurelton Village Care Center at 475 Jack Martin Boulevard. Sounds like a lot of fun. Apparently, I'm not allowed in because I'm not over 60. Another thing that I get to miss out on. But please call, please take advantage. Project Icebox, trunk or treat, bring extra candy, and don't forget to look for my Frozen trunk and my beautiful kids that will be dressed like Frozen. Have a great week.
Thank you. I'd just like to talk about the taxi cab ordinance that was passed tonight. I didn't think it went far enough. I'm hoping that an amendment comes to this that would, when they apply for their license, that the drivers, that's our problem, the drivers, that they would have to put their name down and also their license. And this way the police can investigate and make sure they're up to good standings with their license. I also want to talk about the drug problem in our town. The police are doing an excellent job on it. I know we have it all over. It's just not in Maple Leaf. It's all over. But one of the main problems is that once somebody's caught, there's no help for them. There is no help. You're going to take that person that's a user, and you're going to give them a little fine, bring them to court, and then the police hands are tied. They give them a paper. And this paper says, here, call these places up. And that's the end of it. What we need, I know everything costs money. The mayor, excuse me, the mayor in Seaside Heights, his son passed away. I don't see how we can put a price on that. So I'm hoping that other things can be done to prevent that. Does that want to happen to my grandson or your kids? All right. On Maple Leaf, I know you have a lot of units in there. My daughter's a property manager. Just to give a little insight, I know you're supposed to have so many people per unit. It's like 75 units per person, or I don't know if you have that. Is there a rule on that, and there's various limitations? I don't know. And I'm glad to see that you are working well with the police, and I know everybody here is public safety. We got land use. We have the business and finance. Everybody's concerned to make sure the landlords are doing the right thing. Get their COs, and to make sure the places are in good shape, because the last time that gentleman came up, he said that there's broken windows. Well, it could have broke afterwards, after somebody moved in, or something happened. But this way, the CO, I'll make sure that they're moving into a clean apartment. Like you said yourself, you have good CO on your apartment, but other people might not, or other people's not even getting the CO and moving in people without having that. Everybody's concerned about that to get the right thing for them. Bricktoberfest. Bricktoberfest was very nice. My wife and I visited it. Can be improved. Everything can be improved. I'd just like to say the first aid squad, our paid first aid squad is having a comedy shop over here off of Lanes Mill Road. They're having it Saturday night. It's $25 a ticket. You get a dinner with that. You get the show, and it's bring your own BYO. Okay, for that night. So anybody that's interested, it's Saturday night. That's all I have tonight. Thank you.
I want to thank my council and the mayor for all of their comments. You've covered such an array of issues this evening. Yes.
Council President, I'm sorry. I just have this one plaque. My plaque's a lot smaller. This plaque right here.
It's small,
Sorry,
but,
I forgot all about it.
That's not for your refrigerator.
This plaque is coming from the MUA. This is from the Watershed Committee. This right here is to monofilament recycling bin. What they're going to do is put a 4-inch PVC pipe down so the fishermen aren't cleaning up after themselves, I hear. So they're going to put this at Traders Cove. They're going to put this in, down by Route 70, right off that. And they're going to, and it'll be empty just like the garbage is because the fishing line's getting in the water and it's causing a problem. So a few of these will be around. I just want to bring it from the MUA. They're doing a good job over there just to show that they're doing quite a bit for the watershed itself. Thank you. I'm sorry I forgot all about that. Appreciate it.
I wish I had one. I don't have a sign, but I have something that's just as exciting. Many of you know I'm on the Sustainable Brick Committee. I'm the liaison and an active member. And we have a tremendous committee membership this year, last year as well. We've been telling you about the green fairs that we're having, the different community events and education and outreach. All of these were to work towards a bigger goal, and that is to get a certification from Sustainable New Jersey. Well, we finally earned our bronze certificate, and I want to congratulate and thank all of those members for all of their work, including Mike Fowler and Tara Paxton, who work very closely with us, as well as members of the MUA and the school board, to make these projects happen. We were approved for 20 actions in 12 different categories for a total of 235 points. The mayor will get to go down, as well as myself and council members and members of that committee, to go down and get our certificate and our award, and we get media releases so we can spread it all around New Jersey. That again, we are a fantastic town to live in. I'm just so excited. It opens up many opportunities for us, different grant opportunities to fix our buildings and do different projects in town to enhance our quality of life here in Brick, because everything helps that we can do to make our residents' life better. And it's such an achievement, and I'm so proud. And a lot of those points, we actually had more points than we needed, and that will start going towards our silver award, which opens up the door to even more opportunities for us here in Brick. Our next meeting is on November 11th. As the mayor said, we are closed. I'm sorry, the 10th. I even wrote it down, Mr. Salunka. It's right here. We're closed on the 11th, which is Tuesday. So mark your calendars. The meeting is actually held on Monday at 7 o'clock on the 10th in this room. And I'd like the motion and a second to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.